FM, a Glimpses Media radio station.
Your dog may actually be taking care of you, not the other way around. I'm Cooper Lawrence, health and wellness expert. This is all well and good. Researchers in Finland looked closely at 13 assistant dog-human pairs. What they found is pretty remarkable. These dogs aren't just helpers. They're full-on caregivers. Through interviews, observations, and photos, the team discovered that assistant dogs read their humans constantly, picking up on tiny gestures and body language without a single word being spoken. A diabetic person, for example, might have to trust their dog's nose over their own instincts to catch a dangerous blood sugar drop in time. What makes this interesting is the flip. It's not humans caring for dogs. It's genuinely mutual. Both sides give, both sides receive. I'm Cooper Lawrence, and this is all well and good.
You just can't have too much active safety. This is Jeff Gilbert with the Car Chronicles. Lane departure warning, blind spot warnings, automatic braking, they're all great systems. Matt Moore of the Highway Loss Data Institute found that they're even better when you bundle several technologies together.
In some instances, we were seeing crash reductions in insurance claim rates of up to 40%. Which is a huge number.
Moore and his team looked through crash data. In some cases, the technologies work together. In other cases, they back each other up.
Driver assistance technologies are awesome. And the data says they are delivering big benefits. They're helping people stay out of crashes.
Moore saying the technologies have improved over the years, and we are likely to see more improvement in the future. With the Car Chronicles, I'm Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Why be at the forefront of childhood cancer research? At St. Jude, we do it because every innovation we make is a moment we give to children with cancer everywhere. But we can't do it without you. Help St. Jude give children with cancer more moments. Moments that can last a lifetime. Learn more at stjude.org.
Afade Guausi Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the BrightSide, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelaide. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelaide all April long, only on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba.
Craving Chili's? Let's make life. Grab their signature wings, crispy, saucy, and comes with a special treat. Or pick up a Chili's bundle promo, packed with all the Chili's faves. Order exclusively via good-to-go delivery or takeout. At Chili's, great food and value happen here.
2:15 in the afternoon. Welcome to the show. This is the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. Thank you for tuning in. Here's the number. 671-922-1051 or 2. That is the access code to allow you to talk to this gentleman right here, the host of the show, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
We do want to thank our sponsors of the Bright Side, and that's Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And GTA, we start with you.
Bright side, oh, anytime.
All right, welcome to it. Another Bright Side here on Wave 105. Biba Webis.
Viva! Man,
It
it's
is
Thursday.
Thursday, April 23rd. We are almost out of April. Thank gosh. We do need to get out.
Right? Bye, April.
Guess what's around the corner?
Me.
El Nino.
Oh, hi, me.
More monitoring. Again, this is Typhoon Alley, right? And it's something, I'm not going to scare anybody, but that's just the reality that we live in.
Okay, knock on wood.
Right? It's just the reality. I mean, even when it's, if it's not El Nino, it's El Nina. So
Yeah.
I don't even know which one's worse, to be honest with you.
I think it's the El Nino, right? Yeah, because El Nino is more...
Well, because it heats up the water.
Yeah.
The water gets heated up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I believe between the two, there is a difference.
Yes.
But not as, El Nino is kind of a little bit...
It just does.
yeah.
It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Man.
we're in Typhoon Alley.
Yeah.
The typhoons usually start to.
We were having typhoons
Yeah.
before El Nino and El
They're-
Nino even came.
They get born near Chuk,
Yeah.
and then that's usually where, when we see them starting to strengthen in Chuk, then they're coming. They're usually coming this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we just got to continue to prepare.
Yes. And I
We-
like the idea of the governor putting all power lines underground. That'll be a start.
Yeah. And some people are like, oh, you want to ask the federal government again, huh? Always ask.
Yeah.
Well, it's their obligation.
Yeah, national security.
You have to
guys,
look at it
yeah.
as it's their obligation. This is a U.S. territory.
Exactly. Yeah.
The United States Congress has oversight, right?
Yeah.
They are obligated.
Exactly.
So it's not handouts. I mean, even when we were talking to Mr. Pleadwell, he said the exact, when I asked, well, how are you going to pay for it? It's, well, the federal government's going to pay for it.
And back then they offered, like
Yeah.
in the 60s, they wanted to do it
Yeah.
after Typhoon Karen. And so we opt out. No, we're good with our oiled wooden poles. And it's oiled so you don't have to worry about termites.
I know there's the concern, like, well, see, hindsight is 2020, right? And
Yeah.
so when you're saying we invest in more power poles and we put them up, and then we don't talk about investing in underground lines. But the reality is, when the storm leaves us, we have to recover.
Yeah.
And we need to recover as soon as possible.
You've been
and
to
so what is
Palau,
the
right?
fast? Yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard about Palau and their power grid pretty much, that all lines are underground.
I'm not sure. I've only been there as like
and it's on the side
a
of the road.
short-term basis, vacation and whatnot.
Yeah, so it's
And
like,
it's been a while. I think
so
last
power
time,
lines
15 years ago.
Yeah, power lines are on one side of the road.
Okay.
And then water lines are on the other side of the road. So it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
And a friend of mine was telling me about it. I'm like, man, their master plan is,
Right.
I love the master.
Right. No, I get it.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to Sinlaku, right, if anybody's saying, well, why are you wasting more money on investing in more power poles or infrastructure up? It's,
Okay,
well,
I could tell you why.
the reason why is because people want their power on right now.
Yeah, I could tell you why. It's like when you're suffering with
Yeah.
with no light and you're hot.
Yeah. And so the same goes over in the CNMI, right? Like, well,
Yeah.
if the feds are going to give them money to recover, they need to put it underground. I'm like, now is not the time. Yesterday was.
Yeah.
20 years ago was.
Well, when you
But
consider,
they need to do what they need to do to stabilize the power and the water.
when you consider,
And then you start preparing. You can't just say, everybody bear with us.
yeah,
We're now going to start planning to put the power underground.
I think it was Simon Sanchez that said he's tired of being resilient. So am I.
Yeah. So
but
they got to do what they got to do to get the power on ASAP,
Yeah.
and that means power poles and transformers now.
Well, when people say, "Oh, it's going to be too expensive and everything," you know what's more expensive? We, like you just indicated, we are in typhoon season. We're in Typhoon Alley,
Yeah.
and we know we're going to be hit. Okay, I think we got spoiled because we haven't been touched for
20
20
years.
years. And then finally, when we're like close to one, that storm did not hit, but we were without power.
Well, we were getting those gusts of wind for 18 hours.
Yeah.
Right? That was a long time. And
So-
people, we have to remind ourselves that was a long time.
When you
Because
look
even
at,
Mauar, it's you go to sleep and you wake up and you're ready for the governor to call for Core 4.
yeah, it's more expensive every recovery after that. I think, and when you look at the hundreds of millions in damages to our power lines, our water and whatnot, when you total all that up, it surpasses $1 billion already. Probably $2 billion if you really want to go all the way back to, like, let's say Typhoon Pamela. And the investment that would have been made back then, we would still be reaping the benefits of that.
Oh, yeah, it pays for itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
For sure.
I don't mind paying $5 more if that was the case, right? I mean, if I knew that my power is going to stay on during typhoon, $5. Hey, raise the rates, PUC. I'm okay with it. Don't worry, because you're going to be having.
Not yet, though.
Yeah, no, because
almost not yet.
No, because you're going to have some senator that's going to think power credits. It's election year. How do I get elected? Yeah, let's give them a break. It's like, so, yeah, no, I think if we had made the initial investment way back when, we would have been standing tall. I would have had aircon during the typhoon.
Yeah, we can't go back in time, right? So, I appreciate the conversation now and all of the decision makers, prioritizing, strengthening our infrastructure, right, by putting it underground. It just makes the most sense. When you talk about places that do have underground lines in Sinahanya, even here in Barragata Heights, they get their power on the fastest, right? Real quick, from Office of Civil Defense, they put out JIC Recovery Release number 18. And so this one is about green waste. Have you drove by Route 16, the old Teedson tennis courts?
Yes.
It's pretty it's pretty lax there. There's not a lot of green waste that has been dropped off.
Yeah.
That's one of the areas. They have a site set up. They have sentries there accepting your green waste, and then you can see there's like just a little hill. It's not a mountain of trash or anything like that like we saw in Mauar.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. In Mauar, I remember there was a mountain of bicycles.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. They had mountains of all kinds of different appliances, then bicycles.
People were throwing their stuff since Typhoon Paka.
Yeah. That's really, I'm not going to lie. I did the same thing. I said, what? Free? You guys are going to take all my trash?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah. Do your best in your own vehicle to separate. But when you get there to the Teedson disposal site, they have a number of drop-off areas. So you stopped and you threw your household trash. Then you took your window aircon and you put it here. You took your water heater and you put it there.
It's funny how you're telling me
you
this.
took your bicycles and you put it there.
Because
your what is it? The canopy poles.
Yeah.
They took it. People were like, you could get money for this.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, it's too late.
Yeah. When Mayor Melissa Savaras sat in for you when you were in Japan, we were having a conversation, and there was like a delegation from the Philippines that came in right after Mauar, right? And they saw the mountain of trash that you're talking about, all the white goods and whatnot. And they were telling her, like, in the Philippines, that's a gold mine. Just like, aircons, and I'm like, really?
Because they can repair them?
They can repair them, yeah.
Wow.
You're just talking about a mountain of bikes, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I don't know if if you're old enough to remember, but back in my day, going down to the Liberation Day parade, you had those long bikes with, the long forks,
the
and the
lowrider.
choppers, the high.
I used to read the
ones.
Lowrider magazine.
Yeah, and
my favorite part was the Lowrider bicycles.
It was like a Frankenstein of bicycles. They just took parts and welded it all together,
Yes.
painted, and they made it look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
well,
4 seats.
Yeah, 4 seats. The banana seat is like so long.
Yeah.
You know, some bikes were like standing like 10 feet up.
You put your handlebars were
Yeah.
super high like a motorcycle. You're rolling. It's just a bicycle, but it's a bicycle. But you're acting like it's a motorcycle.
You know, it's like it's not even correct posture for your body.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, you're paddling and your arms are up.
Yeah, your arms are over your head.
You tire yourself out, man.
But you looked cool. You looked hella cool.
No, I'll
with
settle
your
for
knee-high socks too. You wore your socks all the way up to your kneecaps.
Yeah, with your desert hat flaps on the back.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man, jeez.
We got our fashion from Lowrider magazine.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I pass by every day when I come to work, and it wasn't that much.
It's
I
not.
Mean, I normally, I remember Mauer when there was like a long line, but
They had a whole wood chipper over there
wow.
because of how much green waste was being dropped at the Tiedzin old tennis court area.
Seems like EPA and the mayors are doing a great job when it comes.
Well,
to
you could just
collecting.
tell that it's not as much
Yeah.
as Mauer.
Yeah.
It's just not as much. But also, I would say the government. I have to commend them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like the way they prepared this time around, because again, months ago, I remember when Speaker Frank Bloss Jr. asked the question to Esther Agagi during like an oversight hearing on civil defense and said, if we had another Mauer, is Guam ready?
Yeah.
And so she said no. I mean, obviously later she clarified herself.
She recanted.
But I mean, what we went through, even though it wasn't a direct hit, I mean, the time it took for Sinlaku to leave us. I mean, I was here in the studio and we're eating dinner at like 8 p.m. and we get the next JIC release, right? Me and the 3 guys that were with us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this thing is not leaving us. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's going 3 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the next morning, it was
Still there?
It was still around. And we were on day 2.
It's like
We were on day 2, and we got the release saying 3 miles per hour. And so again, that just it takes it just takes all the wind out of your cells.
It's like an ex-girlfriend of mine. Like, just leave me alone, man.
Yeah.
Go already.
You want exactly. You're like, okay, we got this. We can handle this storm. We can handle this typhoon. The good news is it's not a direct hit. But when it just sticks around, it just lowers your morale. It gets, you keep getting beat down.
Yeah, it's like,
and it takes the wind out of your cells.
It's like that beef stew that sticks to your rib bones.
I mean, literally took the wind out of your cells, because there was it's just like, come on now.
Go. Bye.
Get out of here.
Bye, Felicia.
You feel helpless.
Bye, Sinlaku.
I mean, GPA, the crew members, they couldn't get out there.
Yeah.
Because it was still unsafe, because it was still hanging around, and the winds were still coming at us from all different angles at all times of the day and into the night and then the next day. GPA couldn't get out there safely to start repairing these lines.
Yeah.
And so that's why we saw when people were like, it's not so bad out there. Well, it's still Core 1, and they're still not out there because of these winds. And then when it was Core 4, they had to now recover in such a short amount of time, when people were already feeling that people were already experiencing a power outage since Monday.
Yeah, nothing is bad until you get into a bucket truck at 100 feet while the wind is blowing at 50, 60 miles per hour. Yeah, everything's okay.
Yeah, and then the stress of the community saying, hey, hurry up! Hurry up, fan!
Hey, you want food?
I've been out of power since Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, not literally, but that's what was on social media.
Yeah.
And they felt that. I was over at the gas station grabbing some things before I came in, and here comes the GPA truck. They're refilling not just their vehicle, but their stomachs. Everybody's got big smiles on their face, thanking them and whatnot. You know, and I just thanked them myself, and they felt that. Maybe they didn't read all the social media comments, but they read enough.
Okay.
You know? And so, they appreciate the waves and very grateful. They're not going to forget that. But they read some of those comments too of hurry up.
Hurry up, fan.
Yeah. Okay, so Greenways, right? Oka Point also serves as the disaster debris site. You've got also the Asin Maina, that's over at the old baseball field.
Okay.
Dedido at their ponding basin. You've got the Estumbo Park also. Oh, let me walk this back though. Asin Maina is open to Asin Maina residents. The Dedido ponding basin is open to the public. The Estumbo Park is open to the public. In Hoggett, the old bus satellite station parking lot, open to Hoggett residents. Humatec, the mayor's office, open to the Humatec residents. In Alaha, next to their fire station, open to their residents. In Malesu, the baseball field, that's open to the public. Talafofo, over at their DYA cottage home, that's open to the Talafofo and Zotnia residents. PT is across Our Lady of Assumption Church. That's open to the public. That's a big open space,
That's a big
too.
open space, too.
Yeah, I remember Mauar. There was a mountain of just green waste. And so I haven't drove by most of these green waste spots
our good
or
mayor,
sites.
Mayor Alec, he's the only guy that I know that can move mountains.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of green waste.
But we're not seeing the same amount that we saw in Mauar.
Is there any cutoff date for these particular sites? I mean, how long are they
So
collecting?
when I saw, because I asked them the question earlier, yesterday was the last day to get that free, the transfer site for customers, right? Curbside customers were allowed to go and take their trash to the transfer stations, and that was at no cost.
Free of charge.
That was yesterday. And so when it comes to the Oka Point, I asked the question, Mr. John Ryan, the communications director.
Good guy.
Yeah, he said, I'm just going to, just so we don't, I don't misquote him, I'm just going to get the response. Sunday, May 3rd is going to be the closing date for Oka. Okay. However, if it reaches capacity before then, there will be a determination that could be made to close it before then. And so he advises that people should try to go sooner than Sunday, May 3rd, rather than later, as their schedule allows. And clearly, if the site is near or at capacity, there will be advisories as such that will be noticed. But again, when I'm looking at what we're seeing at least just the Teaser one that I drive by all the time, we're nowhere near capacity, right? And so does that mean that people still have not gone? Yes, absolutely. I mean, we went to Core 4 on Thursday afternoon, and then people went back to work on Friday. There was some recovery that happened over the weekend.
Cleaning up around your house.
From Monday to Thursday, it was business as usual. So there are still some people that really haven't had the time yet. Maybe they've got a pile of green waste off to the side from their house or their apartment complex or whatnot, and they're waiting to do that this weekend.
Is there like any assistance from the mayors, like, you know, because some people don't have the vehicles to actually get these, waste
I'm
to
sure
the sites.
I'm sure, mayors, they're very, they're always wanting to do what's best for their community. Your mayor is going to do what they can. But here's also what I would say is government cannot do all things for all people. And so if you can pick yourself up by your own bootstraps. Do it. If you are an able body, do it. Now, that's not to say that I'm not sensitive towards people that are vulnerable. Because, but I think that also what makes Guam special is when we know that our neighbor is suffering, we're gonna give them the shirt off our back.
Yeah.
We're going to take care of our family. We're going to do what we can. And that's what we should be doing for each other. Not waiting for the government to pick up our trash. Now, during an emergency, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, we gotta be able to be independent too. And so sometimes these calls to mayor's offices are pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But right now, I get it. There's recovery and whatnot. And so make the phone call. But I've had conversations with the mayors when we're not in an emergency saying, hey, mayor, come and get these rats out of my house. They're exterminators? And why are there rats in your house?
Ask
Probably
not what your mayor can do for you, but what you can do for your mayor.
Probably because you're storing your trash in your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not paying for the pickup to get trash to the dump, or you're not taking the trash yourself to the dump.
Yeah.
And I understand people don't have reliable transportation. You don't have a truck or whatnot. But if you have months of trash piled in a storage area in your house,
first off, why? Second,
that's
what are you doing?
Not safe. It's not safe. And so that's why sometimes even mayors were saying in Typhoon Mawar, when they were saying, and so again, this is case by case, not everybody, because I did go visit. When I was with PBS, we went to Zero Down. We went to Swamp Road. We went to Nevermind Road. And, we were just doing some coverage and asking how everybody was. And even myself and the PBS crew that they're cameramen, our hearts were broken. They lost everything.
Yeah.
And so we were there to take footage, but we helped carry wood over. We helped bring the tin for their roof. We helped them move debris because that's just who we are as people.
Yeah.
And they were in such a vulnerable place. We took their trash to the disposal site for them. Right? And so I'm not saying that that's not what we should be doing. But there was a conversation, and I'm not going to share who it was or where it was, but they were asking us and the mayor to take trash that was there for years.
Where the bag was brittled already?
Not even brittle. Just a
Non-existent.
pile.
Jeez.
Piles, mattresses that weren't wet from the typhoon, that they threw it within 100 feet of where they stayed, and you knew that it was there for years. And they're asking the government to take care of it. And that is why I say the government is not here to do all things for all people. That's just irresponsible. And so people took advantage of these programs and services that were there for disaster relief. And what did the government do? They just said, we'll take it all. We'll take it all. But do not wait for another emergency for the government to take care of you. Because you might be waiting long. And that's just no way to live. We'll take the break.
Yes.
2:41 in the afternoon, Wave 105.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
America, past and present.
It's Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. On this day in 1908, legislation signed by President Theodore Roosevelt created the Medical Reserve Corps, laying the foundation for today's United States Army Reserve. What began with just 160 medical officers has grown into a force of hundreds of thousands of reservists who serve alongside active duty troops. Today is also the birthday of President James Buchanan, born in 1791. Elected in 1856, Buchanan led the nation during a period of rising sectional tension. Historians often rank him among the least effective presidents, citing his inability to prevent the secession crisis that soon led to the Civil War. And that is America past and present. I'm Randy Meyer.
Lowe's has the brands pros trust to get the job done. You can now shop new Catalyst fencing solutions and save big when you do. 10% off when you buy in bulk. Plus, save $180 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding compound miter saw. Now just $449. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/6 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Inflation is getting uncomfortably high, and food prices will likely rise more than overall inflation. Here's why. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. The obvious reason for rising food prices is the big increase in oil prices, and most food gets shipped significant distances, so high gasoline prices are a factor. But there's more. Petrochemicals are major ingredients in fertilizer, and the cost of fertilizer spiked as the Iran war began in March. Plus, the U.S. Department of Labor estimates that nearly half of the U.S. crop workforce is either unable to enter the country or faces potential deportation or is leaving the country. Tariffs also raised produce prices before the war, says Chris Barrett, a Cornell University professor. He says when we import tomatoes from Mexico or broccoli from Chile, the importer is paying a duty to the government. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Guam, what if we told you your tax refund could get you a brand new ride, like a 26 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $23,995 or a 25 Eclipse Cross for $24,995? Sounds like an April Fool's joke, right? Wrong. This is not a joke. These deals are real at Guam Auto Spot. Turn your tax refund into a new ride during the Spring into More Savings event. New cars, big discounts, limited supply. When they're gone, they're gone. Get pre-approved now at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO.
Afade Guausi Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the BrightSide, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelaide. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelaide all April long, only on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba.
Let's
to the show. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105. Once again, here's the number, 671-922-1051, or to give us a call. Standing by, the host, Mr. Pauly Suba.
I always wondered what are the things that they like to do. Like, we'll do all the things that we like to do. What are those things?
I'm thinking, certain types of dances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
There's so many things.
Yeah. my impurity of my mind right now is just going off right now.
People are like, man, these songs of today are pretty promiscuous. I'm like, are you really?
No,
I know some promiscuous songs
from
back in the day.
Yeah, but we had more theater of the mind. It made you think. Right?
Yes.
It's not like, hey baby, what's up? How you doing? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Nah, this guy. Hey, we'll do the things. You like things.
Yes, we're gonna do all the things.
All right, we have Miss Joyce from GPA,
Communications Director.
Yes, Hafa Joyce.
Hafa day, Pauly. Hafa day, Guam.
Hafa day, Joyce. Thank you so much for giving us an update. I'm looking at it right now. 99% restoration.
Yes, for the load. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly 1 week after Core 4 has been announced, our system load restoration is at 99%. So basically, we've achieved almost all of the feeders. Actually, 100% of the feeders are up. But of course, not to say we still have those areas that remain isolated, right? Pocket areas with extensive damages. We also have emergency work clearance, those that need to get their homes repaired, like their weatherhead. Those may still also be outstanding. We've asked, these folks to contact us or come into our office, and we can work with you on those and get you the documents that need to be done and get you an emergency work clearance.
Oh, nice. So they don't need to get their certified electrician first?
Oh no, they need to do that.
Okay.
They need to come in. They need to apply. We give them. We come in and we provide them an emergency work clearance for our crew. So they can come out and pull the meter, and then get them to go out and get a certified electrician to fix. Yeah, DPW still requires that.
Okay.
These are all the requirements from DPW, right?
Got it.
And then once they get that fixed, they go to DPW, and they get their forms filled out. Keep that original. And then when they're all the repairs are completed on the weatherhead, then they can contact us, and then we'll go out and we'll install the meter and get them energized. So just a few more. If you notice on our release,
yes,
we've been working in areas that have very heavy vegetation.
Yes.
And so our crews, along with DPW and the mayors, I really want to give kudos to DPW mayors for helping us clear a lot of the, the areas, especially the roads and the homes that, are heavily vegetated. So they've been really instrumental in helping the crews. It's really difficult to go in if we have all of these things that can impede the progress. So, we love our we love all our trees, but when it comes
I
to
saw it myself.
storms,
I saw it myself as because my power didn't go on till Tuesday around 3 p.m., right? We were here, my son said. And so we live near JQ San Miguel. And so what I saw was the power poles were practically in the jungle. And so we didn't realize how far in they were into the jungle until it was cleared. Yeah,
okay,
and
then you saw it. Okay.
Yeah, and so
well, I'm happy you have power. But we're still out there.
Yeah.
Polly, the crews are out there 12 hours. 24/7.
I know.
Day and night.
Yeah.
And again, we will not stand down until everyone is restored.
Right.
The good news is, we put the numbers. We have 600 customers left.
Yeah, for
About
1%. Yeah.
Of total customers, which is, we have over 52,000 customers. So we're still dealing with those one-offs, right? Transformers. We still get a lot of, like you, the media. We're also in a chat room with the mayors.
Right.
Still send it. Keep sending it our way. They're calling our offices. We still have our customer service reps that are still going to be taking calls from 6 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. I'm usually here too. They, later in the evening, and we'll take all of those areas that are still without power, and we report them to our dispatch, and then it goes out to our crew. But we are continuing the work, especially with areas like Menengan and the areas that have heavy vegetation. We bring in our other T&D folks, which is our equipment operators, right? We bring those folks in and to help us, and alongside the mayors or DPW, we're able to get into those areas, make the repairs, and give our customers, power. So again, we put out a lot of information.
Yes.
To me, I think these are all important information. Everything from what to do with, when you have medical needs, your damaged weatherheads. We put a link there so you can take you right to the damaged weatherhead on our Facebook page, and all of the, FAQs, carbon monoxide safety, voltage fluctuations, and then customer generators, right, to avoid any backfeeding and so that our crew or, we don't damage your generators. So all of the information. And then we also have on our website all of the information that we put out from the beginning we're getting ready, we're preparing. So we have our post-Typhoon Sinlaku restoration updates right on the website. So you can go out, there and look at the history and all of the updates that we've been putting out. But yes, we're still doing the work, and we still have a few more customers to reach.
Well, I have to say, I appreciate your entire organization, GPA, from dispatch to yourself to supervisors and managers, the line crew. I mean, I'm looking at this where it says no one will be left behind. Crews are now working 12-hour shifts. So that tells me that they were working longer shifts.
They were 12 to 16 at the beginning.
Yes.
And you were 12-hour shifts day or night.
Yes.
One crew in the morning, one crew in
Yes.
So it's covering the 24 entire day.
Right.
Yeah.
So only now you brought it down to the 12 hours. So it was more than 12.
They're tired,
right? Yeah.
Get them to go home and rest and fix up whatever they need to, 'cause some of these folks also don't have power. They've got some, heavy vegetation they need to take care of. So yeah, we're really happy, with the progress, but again, there's still more to do. And call our office. You see my letterhead; it has our number, the answer. We're there, right? Our customer service reps are there. Our dispatchers are there. We get us on Facebook, get us on Instagram, or send us an email. We want to make sure that we don't leave anyone behind, and that we send our crews out there. So we're one family. We have to take care of each other. We all live here. We all have a stake. So, but thank you to our partners, and most especially our community, right, customers, and our mayors. They've been phenomenal. They make sure we know. I mean, and we work really close with them to get these things done.
For sure, I have to
appreciate the community.
I appreciate your dispatch team too, because what was happening too is every now and then we'll get phone calls from our callers, right? And I do my best to get whatever information I can.
Yeah, you're great. You have the information, right? We see your meters. You tell them.
Yeah, and so I was able to get some addresses, right? Make the call on their behalf, and they'll ask for billing information. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't have that, but I do know that this person said that their transformer had blown, or they haven't had power in the last 2 days. This is their address, and they said, "Oh, for sure, we'll take it down." And so they did, and so you know.
Yeah, and they'll look for the customer, right? They'll ping it. They'll look and see what areas are still. We have this, this great smart grid system, and we can tell if a home is on or not, right? And that really helps, and that gives us a lot of information to say, oh, there's customers still, everybody in that street except this one customer. So we have the automated data to help us. So, but it's nothing like the community coming together and telling us, hey, our neighbors still need power, right? Then we have you folks. I mean, K-Stereo went on the air and said, GPA, if you hear us, something happened, our building, we're now in generator power. You heard a loud explosion or a boom outside, right away we got the information, called K-Stereo, and we were able to dispatch the information. So it's it takes a village, and that's what we do.
Well, speaking of neighbors, right, is there any communication now on how GPA is going to assist in the CNMI?
The general manager, John Beneventi, has mentioned, even in the media, right, that we, even before the storm hit, Pauly, we were already on the phone with CNMI, letting them know that we may need your help if this thing hits us, or vice versa, right? We're here for you, right? So yes, there's been several communication. There's been a request, and we are working on it. We got to get our community. We got to be ensure that we can get everyone up first, because that's always been the priority, is to get.
Okay.
But absolutely, we will. The gym has always said we are there for Saipan, for Tinian, for the entire CNMI. We are going to be there to assist them.
How did the
made communication, and we send out normally what we do is we send an assessment team out in advance.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what they need, right? And we have to bring our materials, our equipment, our bucket trucks. We've already told them we got, I think the GM mentioned, 35 bucket trucks.
Okay.
So we'll have a few that we can send out. But
how
the
do they get there?
Team needs to go out there. When?
How do they get there? How do the bucket truck? They get on a ship? How do they get transported?
We work with the military.
Okay.
Yeah, we work with the federal partners, the military, FEMA.
Okay.
So that discussion is ongoing.
Okay.
And we got to get that assessment team out there, right? Comprises of our line worker, our heavy equipment operators, supervisors, our engineers, everyone that can come back and say, okay, this is exactly what's going on, and this is what we need. This is what they need for us to send, right? And our crew will be out there for as long as it takes to help, CNMI get their power system up and running.
All right. Well, thank you again,
the GM
Joyce.
has always said that, and the CCU, right? Our chairman has said it even in our power symposium. Pauly, we invited the media, and we had a few of the media come out, but it was important that we continue that, right? And we send the message out that we're there, and they've been echoing that, and saying, hey, we're there for them, just like we are for our own community. And they were here for us, right?
Yes. Well. I still remember the bucket truck with the big CNMI flag.
Yeah. Yes. And, it's been less than almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And still, it still haunts us, right? We still have that memory and that, that trauma of, Mawar. So it's like, I'm just...
Even Pohnpei.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, the crew from Pohnpei come out too, right?
Yeah, exactly. In Palau, we reached out to Palau. We reached out to Pohnpei in the event this hits us. It was my job. I notified them, and they're like, we're ready.
Nice.
We're ready, Miss Joyce. We're going to have a meeting should you need us. And then Palau and Pohnpei both came to our symposium. Yeah, CNMI was supposed to be here, but of course we understand.
Yeah.
They went through, right? They're going through what they have to get the island back on. So, but yeah, we reach out. We have this mutual aid agreement, which is wonderful. Just like what we do with the American Public Power, we have it with the Pacific Public Power. So our region is very important. So we have both the Pacific Islands and we have the American Public Power that we work with, for mutual aid agreement.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I wanted again to thank the community for their patience, and the work doesn't stop just because we're 99%. Still got the 1% that means just as much to us, that we get everyone back up and get back to normalcy.
Understood.
So thank you, Suzus Maasi, to everyone, to the island. Yeah.
Adios.
Okay, Pauly.
Okay.
Thank you. Adios.
Joyce Sayama, the communications manager of GPA. Once again, 99% system load restoration achieved. They continue their post-typhoon power restoration process. Crews will continue to make necessary repairs in the pockets of isolated customers with extensive damages and close out emergency work clearances requiring customer-side repairs. Customers may report emergency power issues to GPA Dispatch. Here's the number, 671-475-1472, 475-1472, 1473, and 1474. As of yesterday, crews were also in the following areas that were affected by damages from heavy vegetation: the Bordalio subdivision on Solace Street in Jigo, Conga Road in Maimai, that's in Ordot Chalampagu, Balahaja Street in Zotnya, as well as other heavily vegetated areas in Talafofu, in Alahan, and Zotnya, some of which may have already been restored. Once again, crews continue to address the isolated typhoon-related power outages affecting approximately 600 customers island-wide. That's 1% of total customers. These individual outages may require transformer change out, or line repair, as well as customer side repairs, which include weatherhead or meter socket repairs. So there you go. We'll take this break. KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting. I'm Michael Toscano. Celebrations by Democrats in Virginia over Tuesday's election that had voters approving new congressional maps designed to help them pick up seats were dampened by a judge ordering the state to not certify those results. CBS News legal analyst Thane Rosenbaum.
The judge ruled that the election violated Virginia's state constitution, largely because the referendum was held without a 90-day public notice requirement.
Virginia's Democratic Attorney General Jay Jones quickly announced an appeal. Navy Secretary John Phelan is leaving his job immediately. A White House official tells CBS News President Trump and Defense Secretary Hegseth wanted new leadership. CBS's Eleanor Watson on the announcement from Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell.
He will now be replaced, according to Mr. Parnell, by his undersecretary, Hung Kao, who did serve in the Navy, was an explosive ordnance disposal service member in the Navy, but this change does come as the Navy is playing a significant part in the ongoing war with Iran.
Iran fired on 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz and seized 2 of them. The White House says that didn't violate terms of the extended ceasefire. The U.S. continues its blockade of Iranian ports and ships at sea. Correspondent Cammie McCormick tells us the Gates Foundation is reviewing its ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
This external investigation marks the nonprofit's most public attempt yet to address the ties. The foundation has acknowledged a small number of employees met with Epstein based on his claims he could mobilize significant resources for global health. But the foundation says a joint fund was never created and the foundation made no payments to Epstein.
A CDC report showing the effectiveness of COVID vaccines has been blocked from being published in the government's agency's scientific journal.
The CDC report showed that the COVID vaccines reduced emergency department visits and hospitalizations among healthy adults by about half this past winter. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s hand-picked vaccine panel earlier scrapped a broad recommendation for COVID shots, saying they should be administered only after shared decision-making with a health provider. That recommendation has since been temporarily blocked by a federal judge. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small says U.S. Democratic Representative David Scott of Georgia has died at age 88.
Scott served as the first African American to chair the Agriculture Committee. He has been a champion for farmers in his district.
And he was running for re-election to a 13th term. This is CBS News.
It's one of the most successful law and justice programs in television history that continues to uncover the truth 48 hours, Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Breaking news for your home. Way-Day. Wayfair's big sale is almost here, and you can score the best deals in home. Like up to 80% off everything home. Yes, you heard that right. 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Way-Day long. We're talking outdoor furniture and essentials, rugs, and more. All at Wayfair. And all up to 80% off during Way-Day. Shop Wayfair's Way-Day from April 25th through 27th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
A federal appeals court has upheld a Texas law requiring schools to display the 10 Commandments.
The law forces public schools to display a poster or framed copy of the 10 Commandments in each classroom. The ACLU filed a lawsuit in December claiming the law violates the First Amendment. Texas Democratic State Representative Vicki Goodwin.
This just seems like we are trampling over the freedom of religion.
The appeals court ruled the law is compliant with the First Amendment because it does not endorse a religion or stop anyone from practicing their own faith. The case will likely wind up before the Supreme Court. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
For 152 million Americans, just breathing air in the places they live can be harmful. The American Lung Association says 44% of the U.S. population reside in areas with unhealthy levels of pollution, including 33 million people younger than 18. The young are more vulnerable because they're still developing lungs and have large air consumption needs when compared with adults. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
You're listening to KGUM-FM Dedido, Wave 105.1 FM, the talk of Guam, a proud Glimpses media radio station.
Not everybody is worried about where car sales are going. This is Jeff Gilbert with the Car Chronicles. 16.3 million vehicles were sold last year, a post-pandemic high. J.D. Power's Tyson Jominy expects sales around 16.3 million this year as well.
We see a lot of pessimism out there, and we've spent most of this year so far trying to combat that.
Lower sales in the first quarter were the result of a tough comparison with last year, but there were some other issues creeping in as well.
There's a lot of top-selling cars that are on the sideline right now. Toyota's switching over to an all-new model, new generation RAV4. And so when you take down the plan, even for a short time to switch over, we tend to run out of those very quickly.
But Jominy says there will be more of those hard-to-find models coming into market, as well as a ready supply of buyers, as 2022 was a big year for leasing, so many of those leases will expire this year. With the Car Chronicles, I'm Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
Personal loans are rising in popularity. This is Ted Rossman with the Bankrate Personal Finance Minute. Experience says 38% of U.S. adults, more than 1 in 3, currently have a personal loan. That's up 7 percentage points from 2017, and the average balance exceeds $19,000. The Credit Bureau reports that the rising cost of living is a key driver of personal loan demand. With consumers paying more for gas, groceries, housing, and just about everything else, budgets are stretched and credit card debt loads have increased. Personal loans are commonly used to consolidate credit card debt and pay it down at a more affordable rate. That could be a viable strategy. Bankrate reports that the average credit card charges about 19%, while someone with good credit could get a personal loan as low as about 6%. Personal loans represent a very flexible borrowing option. You can use the money for debt payoff, home improvements, and so on. Be careful not to get overextended, though, and be mindful that personal loan rates can vary widely, from the mid-single digits to north of 30%. I'm Ted Ross.
First impressions start with a smile. Call the FHP Dental Clinic for quality dental care. Need a cleaning? Maybe a filling? Or another dental procedure? When you smile, everyone around you smiles. Now accepting new patients. Call 671-646-5825, extension 8562 for appointments. Most insurance plans accepted, including Take Care and GovGuam self-funded. Self-pay patients welcome. FHP Dental Clinic. Our island, your clinic.
Guam, what if we told you your tax refund could get you a brand new ride? Like a 26 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $23,995 or a 25 Eclipse Cross for $24,995. Sounds like an April Fool's joke, right? Wrong. This is not a joke. These deals are real at Guam Auto Spot. Turn your tax refund into a new ride during the Spring into More Savings event. New cars, big discounts, limited supply. When they're gone, they're gone. Get pre-approved now at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Balanced, fair, thoughtful. Wave 105 FM.
Is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105, 3:11 in the afternoon. We are KGUM, FM Barrigada, Guam. Standing by the host, Mr. Pauly Suba.
The BrightSide here on Wave 105, brought to you by GTA. We start with you. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And Chili's, at Chili's, more life great food. And memories happen here. 671-922-1051 or 1052. We are online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Looks like there's some traffic delay on Route 1 already from Isengsong to Prestige, all throughout Marine Corps Drive. Looks like they are redoing some road lines.
Okay.
And so traffic is getting pretty congested. Prestige Auto southbound and northbound lanes are closed. There's one photo in here that I received that looks like Marine Corps Drive, but then there's another photo, and I'm not quite sure it's up there in Jigo, because where in Jigo on Marine Corps Drive are there only 2 lanes?
Exactly.
It's three lanes on both sides.
Yeah, with a middle.
Right? Yeah. So it's basically 7 lanes, Marine Corps Drive, right? Even in the Jigo area, does it ever turn into 7 to 5? Even when I look at the photo, I'm like, this does not look like, this almost looks like, I don't know, somewhere in Barragata. But I just can't tell just by the photo. One photo that was sent to me looks like Marine Corps Drive. Over by where Prestige is, or on the way to Prestige from Isengsong. But then there was another photo that was sent. I'm like, I don't know. This looks more like Hoggett than Jigo. But I don't know. I haven't been down there, been up there in a while. So just be aware. That's what the reports are.
There's road construction going someplace.
Yeah, there are reports that there are lane closures on Marine Corps Drive from Isengsong to Prestige. They are repainting the road lines. Yeah.
Okay.
So. There's something else that I sent you too. It was being forwarded before the show started.
Okay.
But definitely caught my attention because there were a number of police officers that were arresting a woman in a white sedan in Jigo.
Okay.
And one of the police officers looked very familiar to me. He's got white hair on his head, not his beard, but on his head. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's my dad. And so I asked him, I'm like, okay, so do you know anything about this? Obviously, you were on scene. And he said that him and Major Dave are assisting in recovering a stolen Lincoln 500 sedan.
Jeez.
Female suspect was apprehended. And so there's more information that's coming out of this. Apparently, and nothing yet is confirmed from the Guam Police Department, but I mean, when you make some connections and you reach out to some other sources, right?
Yeah.
I'm part of the MTM neighborhood watch.
Okay.
Because I live in Totu, and they were saying that this was reported missing. The vehicle was, and they were able to apprehend the female who allegedly took the car from the Cars Plus dealership and drove off with it.
Just judging by the video, okay, and this is the she has nice hair. I mean, from what I'm seeing, right? I mean, she is a cutie. You know, and normally, I mean, we had this conversation off the air, but normally when you take a test drive, the
salesperson goes with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's like, I'm just gonna go around. I'll be back.
And they didn't know how to say no to the lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that person still has a job, but that's all speculation.
Yeah.
Right. So again, the footage though was circulating around 12 p.m. today on a number of chats. I first saw it on our neighborhood chat. Yeah, neighborhood watch chat.
I could only imagine. I mean, if this is actually true, because right now it's just, we're filtering out the information coming in. But if it is true and she went for a joyride with a test drive car.
Well, Dice was able to get some information from Reddit. And if it's on Reddit, it's almost always true. It's like 95% true.
It went on Reddit.
Yeah. There's a couple, there's definitely a lot of opinions on Reddit, but
I-
somewhere in there's the truth.
I feel so bad for the salesperson, man. It's like, gosh, can you imagine?
It
It's
was
like,
reported stolen yesterday in the
And
MTM
ye-
Neighborhood Watch chat.
I thought this would happen like 30 minutes ago. Yesterday?
The vehicle was reported stolen.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there was photos of it going from one place to another, a gas station even, filling it up. Yeah. So, the license plate matches the one that was reported. Be on the lookout. Reported stolen from Cars Plus, and then it had the license plate that was also in the chat. There's a video that goes along with it, and so you get a lot of information. I'm not playing it because there's like vulgar language
Yeah.
and whatnot. There's definitely like a play-by-play. There she is. That's the one.
That's the one
That's
right
the
there.
girl. They got her. They got her. And then I see my dad going back and forth and whatnot, assisting him and Major Dave Sablon.
That is so cool. I mean, so I'm looking at it, and she's right in front of a nail salon place. I mean, did she make her appointment? I mean, gosh, man. I mean, to just be oblivious, like, okay, I got...
It's a decent car, too.
It is a decent car. I mean, hey, what can I say, right? You know, and she's a cutie.
Yeah. It's got a regular license plate, a Dedido plate, too.
Mm.
Yeah, I wonder how she just drove off with it.
Yeah.
Because I've been on a couple
Yeah,
test drives.
I've been on test drives
and the salesperson goes with me all the time.
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah,
and we don't go far either, right? They're like,
and
"Ah,
mind you-
don't put too many miles on this. We're trying to sell it.
Last I took a test drive, it was one of my good friends. He's my boy. But he's like, hey, man, I still need to come with you. I'm like, really?
Yeah, of course.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, I was going to go get us some
Maybe if
McDonald's
you're
or
like
something.
a very trusted customer, maybe you've bought
Preferred
five
customer.
or six other cars from them.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you know what, you can take this home with you and
For
then
a week,
let us
yeah.
know what you think.
Well-
but really, I mean, that's got to be somebody that the whole company knows, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think the salesperson can even make that decision.
Call, yeah, that
they
has
gotta
to go to higher up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
And
well, judging by the video, she looks preferred. I'm sorry. Yeah, she's a preferred customer. Yeah.
So, I'm going to give you this information if anybody is aware, because again, a source said, it shared with me, there is also another vehicle that
Was test drived?
I don't think so, but this vehicle apparently was, again, allegedly stolen from a friend's house in Tamuning.
Okay.
From the individual that sent me the information on this car. It's I can't make out the make, but the model is that how it goes? A Ford. It looks like Ford, but the license plate is Inalahan or IN 1354, and it's one of those compact utility vehicles. And it looks like either silver or white. IN 1354. IN 1354. That is so if you see, there, Ford Escape. That's what it is. It's a Ford Escape, originally from Tamuning, and it has a license plate again, IN 1354. Law enforcement is on the search for this stolen vehicle. And I haven't got updates yet if they have seen this vehicle or they have retrieved it. So again, it looks like it's either silver. I can't tell because of the shade on it. There's a shadow on it. It's either silver or white. It's a Ford Escape. License plate IN 1354. All right, 3:21 in the afternoon. Let me see what else we have here. Later on, we're going to be talking to Senator Tello Taitagui.
Okay.
Right, we were reaching out to her before from a release that she had a couple days ago, maybe even last week, I forget.
With,
but they've been very busy.
Yeah.
With recovery efforts and whatnot, right? She goes through her procurement training too.
Yeah.
Something that is very important to her. She wants to better understand the procurement system and get certified, right? But she is concerned about as you should, as all of policymakers should. They want to make sure that how we're spending the money for these recovery efforts and the preparation.
Okay.
She wants to be updated.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be reaching out to her very soon, probably around 4 o'clock. We'll probably take the break to the CBS News sooner, maybe like 3:55, so we can get her on at 4 because, again, she's got to take care of some other things too. So she only has a small window to be with us.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's something that I was doing, right? Because yesterday you were sharing that you heard that there's a report card that's out there.
Yes.
Right? And so I haven't seen this report card.
Yeah. In regards to the senator's performance in terms of bills that they passed, bills that they introduced, bills that became law.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that list yet.
Okay.
But I'm glad you took the opportunity to do
So
your thing.
all I did was I went to the legislature's website.
Okay.
And so far, because again, there's so many, I think they're in the 300s.
Okay.
On bills introduced.
Yes.
So I plan to go back to that, but there are 124 bills that became law.
Yeah.
That are on the legislature's website now. Now, I think that they're about to publish a few more because the governor has recently signed some more bills into law from the last session. So there might be more. But just based on the 124 laws that have passed or bills that are now law from the 38th Guam legislature, I was able to do just, again, surface level
research.
Yeah. Because, again, these numbers, even by what I did, doesn't tell the whole story. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and all these lovely ads and all these sound bites with what you're seeing online and what you're seeing, on radio, what you're hearing on radio commercials and TV, doesn't really give you a snapshot. I mean, because anybody can say, "Oh, I did this and I did that." Well, we have the information of what you actually did and what
became law, at least for right now.
Yeah,
yeah, and
so anybody can act like they've done a lot within within this term, but we're seeing it in black and white. And
so again, when I go to the website and I just go to the public laws, all you do is you go down the list and say, well, who sponsored what bill?
Yeah.
Well, who sponsored what law?
Yeah.
And that's really just what I did. Again, that's very surface level.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, the senator that shows up most over all 15.
Okay, wait, hold that thought.
Because
I want to. Go ahead. Is
Senator Tello Taitagui. And it's not even close.
Yeah, she leaves everybody behind?
It's not even close.
Okay.
Right? And so when you look at what she was able to accomplish so far, she's successfully passed bills that that pertain to election reform.
Okay.
Foreign medical graduate licensure reform. We saw that recently, right? AI regulatory task force, campaign finance reform, voter privacy protections, defined benefit retirement reforms, and multiple election administration reforms, right? And so the next senator that it comes behind, but again, it's not even close, Senator Vice Speaker Tony Atta. And some of his bills that became law regard estate transfer reforms, criminal sexual conduct reforms, commercial lease extension law, government land and procurement reforms, housing and environmental measures. Sean Gumatautau is third.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
And some of his bills that became law pertain to Criminal Justice Automation Commission, the Peace Officer Certification Reforms, Emergency Management Codification, and Police Communications Infrastructure Measures.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, and so the biggest coalition builders, the ones that you see a lot, like co-sponsorship and bipartisanship, right? Vice Speaker Tony Addis shows up the most.
Nice.
Senator Shangu Matautau, Senator Chris Duenas, Senator Jesse Lujan, Senator Shelley Calvo, and the on the Democrat side, the one that has the most bipartisanship bills that become law, where his name is a co-sponsor, Senator Joe San Augustine.
Nice. Hey, speaking of Senator Joe San Augustine and Senator Duane, they are running for governor and lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
They had just confirmed that they, at least Senator Duane and I,
'Kay.
we're on WhatsApp and we're going back and forth, and they are confirmed for the 30th.
Okay.
April 30th. So they'll be here at 5 o'clock for
Nice.
our road to Adeloop. It's going to be it's going to be a good one. So
And what you can do now, on April 21st, that was Tuesday,
okay.
Jeff Pleadwell
Yes.
and Charlie Hermosa were on.
They were the
right?
first,
They were the
yep.
first,
Mhm.
right, in our Road to Adeloop series,
Mhm.
right? And so I was able to cut it up. It's in its entirety. You can go to the Wave 105's YouTube channel and watch it from beginning to end, and you don't need to go watch the entire 4 hours of the show on the 21st.
Yeah.
You'll see it. You can even the title is actually Jeff Pleadwell and Charlie Hermosa, so you
Yes.
can even just put that in the search bar. It'll come up, and you'll have a better understanding of what a pirate nation administration looks like.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, he had some. I mean, both of them had some great answers, and then they also had some answers that kind of left me in like, okay,
yeah, and that's not for me to agree or disagree with whatever initiatives they want.
Yeah.
The goal again is for you to be able to listen to this conversation and decide for yourself if this is the team that you would like to vote for come the primary.
Yeah.
Right? They definitely need a lot of help, like Jeff Pleadwell said at the very tail end of the conversation.
They need 20%.
They need 20%. And so that looks like they need to be somewhere, they need to have about 2,000 some votes, right? Yeah. To move on to the general. And so they're very optimistic. But, what I appreciated was that they have a very good understanding of what they want to do this early, because what sometimes will happen is they're like, well, we'll like Charlie said, we'll take a look at it. No, they have very clear initiatives. They have very clear goals. They have they want to, like Charlie was saying, they want to look into the mail service already and privatize that.
Yeah.
And so Charlie's already doing that down in Ilahan, and it's so far pretty successful. And so, again, I'm not going to sway you one way or another. I'm just going to say there was a very interesting conversation, and I appreciated it so very much because I have a better idea what a pirate nation administration is going to look like, right? And so it was very heavy on privatization, right? Okay, so when we go back to the 38th Guam legislature, there was unusually high levels of cross-party co-sponsorship, and so when I say unusual, it's like, that's, that's what I want out of a legislature. I like to see them work together, that the party lines aren't really a line, that you leave your party at the door like the mayors do. And you work together for the betterment of the people of Guam, right? And so noticed a lot of that bipartisanship. I saw a lot of names on majority of these bills. Majority of the bills had multiple names on all these laws, right? And so there's a smaller core group that clearly drove the legislative agenda. That's what you see with 124 bills that are now law. And it's Senator Tello Taitagui that has drove most of these to law.
You know, it's interesting.
Go ahead.
Because one, you know, she's always, you know, on a professional level, she normally doesn't agree with a lot of the stuff that Adelup. I mean, she's always been, you know.
Oh, and she's had some of her bills
battles.
become law that get vetoed.
Yeah.
But then she's also able to get them overwritten.
I mean, what did she have? 15, 14?
15.
15 bills and
that become law where it's just her.
Yeah, and so when you think about it, I mean, you know, she's not one to pull, you know, I mean, toe the line for Adelup, but her bills are just that good that even Adelup has to say, you know what? Okay, we're going to sign this because this is good. So when it's a telltale sign when you have a Republican and a Democrat governor and a Republican senator actually working for the benefit of Guam. And so kudos to Senator Tello.
The core group that led the legislative agenda so far in the 38th Guam legislature, Tello Taitagui, Tony Atta, Sean Gumatautal, Joe San Augustine, Chris Duenas, Jesse Lujan.
Yes.
And that's just the numbers. That's just looking at the 124, not looking at all the other things. And trust me, it does not tell the whole story. I have to keep saying that.
Yeah.
There are layers to this. There are levels to this. There's drama to this. I guarantee you, if I talk to some of the other senators that don't have as many bills become law, they'll say, "Well, it's all politics."
Oh, come on.
They'll say it.
You know,
they'll say my bills aren't getting out of committee.
Well, in that building, guess what? It's all politics. And, you know, when it comes to politics, the art of compromise is all about politics. So apparently, I mean, I'm a deal maker. Okay, if Pauly doesn't like my bill and I don't like his bill, guess what, Pauly? You're going to need my vote. All right? So I will vote for your bill if you vote for mine. And, you know, that's just how, you know, that's how it goes pretty much. And I've seen it done. I've seen people that support and sponsor a bill, and then when it comes to vote, they're nowhere to be found. It's like, you know, So I mean, you know.
What I also saw in these laws, right? Tello Taitagui, I see a lot of her bills that turned into law focused on elections, healthcare, workforce reform, and accountability.
See,
whether that was with the OPA, I think Senator Tello Taitagui is a clear champion for BJ Cruz.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, you know, because we can talk about all the bills passed and everything, but let's talk about the quality of the bill and what it was designed and created for. I mean, because I've seen some bills.
And these numbers don't tell that story. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
What it does say is, well, what do they aim to do?
Yeah.
So Tony Atta focused on the bills that became law a good amount: housing, justice reform, government operations. Sean Gumatautal, public safety, emergency management. Therese Terlai, healthcare systems reform. Sabrina Salas Matanani, healthcare access and veterans issues. Joe San Augustine, tax policy, infrastructure and education. Vince Borja, education and workforce development.
Yeah. And so you know, it's not fair for me or, you know, for anybody to look at this and say, okay, a senator had only passed 3 bills that they sponsored.
Right.
But at the same time, the other side of the coin is this: 2 years every term, right? And if you're only passing 4 bills, you know, what does that tell you? It's like for that whole time. I mean, it goes back to.
Well, I'll tell you who got 0. Chris Duenas.
And rightfully so, because he all bills that deal with money go to him.
Yeah, and he said this early on. You're probably not going to see a lot of bills that I introduce.
Yeah.
He said it, and he's very honest. And the numbers show that. However, how many times has a bill been co-sponsored by him that became law?
Yeah.
44.
Nice.
44.
Nice. Yeah.
Total successful laws where he's involved.
So, it goes back to, passing the 4 bills, right? 4 or 3 bills within the 2-year term that they're in there for, right? Now, if that's the case, when you look at it, it's like 2 bills passed per year. It almost gives justification for Dr. Ron McNish to say, hey, guess what, guys? Don't quit your day job. Because if that's the case...
124 bills that become law is pretty impressive.
No,
we're not done yet.
No, but again, for every senator, right? I mean, if that is the scope of their work, if they can only get by with 2 bills per year, does it, does Ron McNish argument that we probably need to lower their salary and probably put them on for a part-time legislature, whatnot, does that carry more weight considering when you look at the scope of work that they did within the last 2 years? I mean, Tello Tidegree's, she's freaking platinum right now.
Oh, yeah. 15 laws passed with just herself, co-sponsored 37. So that's a total of 52 successful laws with her name on it.
Yeah. I mean, as far as Dr. Ron McNish's initiative, I'm still up on the air with it, but it almost, just by looking at this list and looking at how would I say it? And again, it's not fair for me to say, okay, a senator only passed 3-4 bills, but it almost gives more weight for what Dr. Ron McNish is doing with his Don't Quit Your Day Job initiative.
Yeah. So most successful lead-sponsored laws. Tello Tidegre 15, Sean Gumatautal 6, Tony Atta 5, Joseph Augustine 4, Jesse Lujan 4, Sabrina Salas Mentanani 4, Frank Blas 4, Tina Munoz Barnes 4. But when you look at total successful laws where their name is on it, Vice Speaker Tony Atta has the most with 54, and then Tello Tidegre second with 52.
Okay.
And that's why when you say, well, who are the ones that pretty much were the architects of laws passed so far? Tello Tidegre, Tony Atta, Sean Gumatautal, Joseph Augustine, Chris Duenas. That's top 5.
And did you say just Lahan or that's
he's number 6.
Okay.
Shelley Calvo, Sabrina Salas Mantanani, Therese Terlai, Frank Blas, Tina Munoz Barnes, Vince Borja, Chris Barnett, Will Parkinson. Sabina Perez has the least amount. Total successful laws where her name's on it, 37. But again, these numbers don't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. All right. You want to take this break?
Yes, let's
All right,
take
we
a
will.
break.
And so, again, we'll reach out to Senator Tello Tidegre, one of the main architect of the 38th Guam legislature.
The champion
yes,
right now.
around 3:55. So we'll take this break, get you a real deal traffic report in, and then that should take us closer to the 4 o'clock hour when we reach out to her.
Yes.
Right here on Wave 105.
Wave 105, keeping Guam informed, inspired, and in the conversation. Glimpses Media.
Hopes for lower mortgage rates hit a wall of reality. I'm Mark Hamrick with a Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. New data shows sales of previously owned homes slowed in March, falling 3.6%. The market is grappling with a familiar set of challenges: low supply, sluggish hiring, and a fresh surge in borrowing costs. While we started the year with optimism, the conflict in Iran has sent oil prices soaring, reigniting inflation concerns and forcing a pivot in the outlook for interest rates. The National Association of Realtors has already slashed its full-year sales forecast, now expecting the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage to average around 6.5% this year. For home buyers, that means the higher-for-longer narrative isn't just for the Fed, it's hitting the monthly housing budget. Despite the slowdown, prices remain at record highs across the country because there simply aren't enough homes for sale. If you're in the market, the takeaway is clear. Lower rates can still be found out there if you shop around. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
If you've ever gone on a wild goose chase or described someone as having a heart of gold, you're already a Shakespearean expert. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for April 23rd.
While many think of William Shakespeare's language as fancy or outdated, he is actually the primary architect of modern English slang. The bard is credited with recording or popularizing over 1,700 words and phrases. including everyday terms like manager, fashionable, and even lonely. Talk Like Shakespeare Day was launched in 2009 by the Chicago Shakespeare Theater to prove that his work isn't meant to be dusting, it's meant to be lived.
What do you read, my lord? What?
He gave us phrases like break the ice, in a pickle, and love is blind. Whether you are currently on a wild goose chase for your car keys or just describing a fair weather friend, you are speaking the legacy of a man who died over 400 years ago.
There's the 1,700 word dictionary.
Yeah.
It's the staggering fact that we use Shakespearean inventions in almost every sentence.
I guess that's true.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
I wonder what kind of words we could come up with.
Probably nothing we can say on the
Remember,
air.
400 years from now.
We are also celebrating World Book Day and National Picnic Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
Every tick of the clock, a child loses hope of ever being able to break the cycle of poverty they live in. There is one way to help break that cycle. That is by providing an excellent education that gives them the lifetime tools they need to help improve their lives. Helping Hands Unlimited works with Christian schools in the Dominican Republic to help children in need. For $1 a day, you can sponsor a child in one of these schools. You can make a difference. Find out more at helpinghandsunlimited.org.
I'm U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. The sound of a seatbelt. It's one of the most important sounds in our car. It means everyone is ready and everyone is safe. The more our kids see us put on our seatbelts, the more natural it is for them to put theirs on too. Make it a priority. Buckle up every time. Hear the sound? Make it a habit.
Paid for by NHTSA.
Get your ride right at Pat's Tinting and Detailing. Shine it up with Ultra Deluxe Ceramic Coating starting at $355. Or stay cool with Nano Ceramic Tint that beats the heat. Don't play. Call 671-647-SLAM.
A multi-billion-dollar settlement is paying claims for up to 21 years. If you were exposed to weed killers at work or at home, your rights are affected. If you or your family has or had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you could receive $6,000 to $165,000 or more. This settlement impacts you even if you're not sick because this blood cancer can take 10 to 15 years to appear. If you stay in the settlement, you give up your right to sue. Learn more at weedkillerclass.com or call 888-403-8201. Paid for by the Roundup Settlement.
Afade Guawusi Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the Bright Side, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelaide. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelaide all April long, only on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba.
3:45 in the afternoon. Right about now, it's our first look at our Real Deal Traffic Report, proudly being brought to you by Mobile Guam and Guam Auto Spot. Standing by with the very latest on your daily commute, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right. I don't see too many issues. The lower half of Route 1. So, of course, the south is never an issue. Central part, I don't see issues as well. And then we were talking about some striping that is happening in the Dedido/Jigo area, right? And so, yep, right around where at the end of Isengsong Road, heading north, even southbound on Marine Corps Drive, heading towards Jigo or coming into Dedido, you're going to see some delays, major delays, right? It looks like they are restriping Marine Corps Drive, Route 1, right around the Isengsong intersection, heading towards Jigo, and then coming from Jigo to the Isengsong intersection. Expect delays as well as you get closer to where Harmon Loop, that Harmon Loop Road, Route 27 meets Route 1. Your Real Deal Traffic Report here on Wave 105, brought to you by Mobile Oil Guam. Go farther on every journey with Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus Fuel, keeping your engine 3 times cleaner for better gas mileage. Visit guam.mobile.com for details. And Guam Auto Spot, schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
.47 in the afternoon. Here's the number once again, 671-922-1051 or 2. It's the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. Standing by, Mr. Pauly Suba.
Welcome back. Let's give you some updates from GDOE. So there's a couple releases that came in from GDOE. And they have announced the 3 finalists for the Guam Teacher of the Year.
Oh, okay.
So they will announce this for 2027, but I imagine for all of their efforts in 2026, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first finalist is Jonavi Abaya, who is an English language arts teacher at Simon Sanchez High School, bringing 10 years of experience in education. She previously served as the English 9 Professional Learning Community Team Lead from 2015 to 2023 and has held several leadership and advisory roles, including co-advisor for Junior Achievement and the Simon Sanchez High School Class Council. She currently serves as a faculty council member for Simon Sanchez High School's National Honor Society and co-advisor for the Mock Trial Club from 2025 to now. The second finalist is Carolyn Hudawa, who I know her as Miss H. She's one of my kids' favorite teacher over at John F. Kennedy. She's the Marine Biology and Marine Biology Honors teacher with 11 years of teaching experience. She has served as the advisor for the Ocean Guardians School and Guardians of the Reef. Her additional leadership role includes serving as a delegate for the Young Pacific Leaders Program, coaching the John F. Kennedy High School Marine Academic Challenge Bowl team, and contributing as a focus group leader for John F. Kennedy High School's Accreditation Committee. And the final finalist is Madrid Borja, an 8th grade reading teacher at Antolon Middle School with 20 years of experience in education. She currently serves as the program coordinator for the CLSD We Read Literacy Program. Her leadership experience includes roles as a school-based mentor, reading content representative, PTO officer at Antolon Middle School, and interdisciplinary team leader. So congratulations to all 3 of the finalists for Teacher of the Year. All right,
awesome.
3:50 in the afternoon. We got somebody on the line, or no? We're good.
We just lost.
No worries.
Whoever caught. Yeah.
No worries. We'll probably take the break soon in about 5 minutes. The other release that came in from GDOE is regarding the Fanny Zokin Samoro program. This is the immersion program for elementary students. I think it's now going all the way up until middle school. But for this one, it is specifically regarding the applications for pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students for 2026 and 2027, beginning April 8 to June 7. So the Fanadzakin Samoro program is a Samoro medium educational program designed to strengthen students' Samoro language proficiency and cultural knowledge through daily use of the Samoro language and culturally grounded learning experiences. The program fosters a deep understanding of Samoro history, values, and traditions while supporting students' academic growth and cultural identity development. The program is currently housed at PC Lujan in Radio Barragán, hopefully LBJ soon, because I know that that's where they were asking to go. I'm not sure where we are with that conversation. Instruction is delivered in Samoro across all core subject areas. Yeah, you heard that correct. Instruction is delivered in Samoro across all core subject areas. School hours are Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 2:43 p.m. And again, the application Applications are open for pre-kindergarten, so your child must be 4 years old by July 31st, and then kindergarten must be 5 years old by July 31st. Families interested in applying must meet the following requirements. Complete and submit the online application via their QR code. Families must commit 8 hours per month to support or serve the program. Families must commit to learning the Chamorro language and culture to support an immersive environment beyond the classroom. Applications will remain open until available slots are filled. Enrollment is limited to maintain the integrity of the program's immersive learning environment. Families are encouraged to apply early as placement is subject to program capacity. The selection process includes a review of submitted applications followed by interviews with selected families to further discuss program expectations and commitments. Transportation to and from the school is the responsibility of the parent or the guardian. School bus transportation is available for students residing within the attendance zones of PC Lujan Elementary School. So I'm really glad that they're continuing this program. Again, Fanny Zockin Chamorro program accepting applications for pre-K and kindergarten students. And so a lot of the information, too, that you can grab is on GDOE's website, but you can also call this number here. I believe this is it's got to be his government number because it's all over GDOE's press release, multiple press releases. 671-488-7173, 488-7173. And what I'll also do is, here's another number for their 671-300-2905. That's where you'll get the actual office that oversees the PC Lujan, right? So if you want questions regarding attendance zones, 300-2905, 300-2905. But I'm also going to take this link and put it in our YouTube channel right now, so you can always go back to it. So it's there now. You're not going to be able to press it and go. What you should do is copy, paste to the search bar, and then you should be able to apply for the upcoming Fanny Zockin Chamorro program, or the Chamorro Fanny Zockin program. Again, that is for next school year. Okay, so it's 3:54 right now. Now's a good time.
Yeah.
Just to get you your CBS News already, and then when we come back out of it, we'll be giving a call. We'll be calling Senator Tello Taitagui, again, based on some of the concerns that she has from the recovery efforts and the $25 million that is spent towards the preparation and recovery. So we'll do that after these. And so KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam, here is your CBS News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by DEA Take Back Day.
I'm Michael Toscano on Capitol Hill.
Senate will come to order.
The United States Senate is in another late-night session. It's a so-called vote-a-rama, a marathon series of votes as Republicans try to fund immigration agencies under the Department of Homeland Security without votes from Democrats. DHS has been in a partial shutdown for over 2 months now, and CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skenga has been talking to workers there.
A lot of folks are working for free or seemingly for not an on-time paycheck. And this has actually been pretty consistent for DHS employees. Over the past fiscal year, since October 1st, DHS employees not exempted from the shutdown have gone without an on-time paycheck more often than they've received one.
The U.S. and Iran ceasefire may be indefinitely suspended or held, but there's still military action. CBS's Jesse Mitchell is following that for us.
The Iranian regime seized a pair of container ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran says the attacks were retaliation for the U.S. blockade and seizure of Iranian vessels this week. A member of Iran's parliament called it an eye for an eye, a tanker for a tanker.
The U.S. Navy continues its blockade of Iran's ports and ships at sea. Meanwhile, the Navy Secretary has left the job. More from correspondent Cammie McCormick on the sudden change.
Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell posted on X that John Phelan is departing the administration effective immediately. The Pentagon gave no reason for Phelan's departure. It comes just weeks after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fired the Army's top officer. Phelan had not served in the military. He was a major donor to President Trump's campaign.
A White House official told CBS News President Trump and Defense Secretary Hegseth wanted new leadership. 2 people are dead, more than 30 injured after a chemical leak at a silver recovery plant in Kanawha County, West Virginia. Governor Patrick Morrisey.
The families of those we lost today, our hearts are with you, and our state grieves for you. We stand ready to support you in every way possible. I also want to pray for all those who are still impacted.
Discount carrier Spirit Airline is in negotiations with the Trump administration, asking for a government bailout.
President Trump said that he thought either another airline should buy Spirit or that his administration should take a look at helping the airline out. They employ about 15,000 people, many of them in the state of Florida. You know, they're looking at it and talking about this deal because the president told them to.
That's transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve. This is CBS News.
Help keep our community safe and healthy during National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, April 25th. Find a collection site near you at deatakeback.com.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Guess what? There are about 50 unique potato varieties grown for making potato chips in the U.S.
Ah, the crunch, the salt, the guilty pleasure of potato chips. But did you know how much science is involved? Researchers have spent decades on developing potatoes that grow in all sorts of climates, avoid diseases, sit in storage for months, and still deliver a robust crunch. Michigan State has a potato breeding and genetics program that has come up with 5 new varieties of potatoes for chips in the last 11 years. And the National Chip Program connects such programs with growers, chip makers, and the USDA. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
Tesla's profit rose in the first quarter as its car sales rebounded from their sharp slump in 2025. It earned $477 million, up 17% from a year ago. Elon Musk, the CEO, says Tesla's futures lies less in selling cars than getting people to take rides in them as self-driving taxis. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
KGUM-FM, Dedido, powered by Glimpses Media.
Straight up 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105. And right about now, it's time for our Real Deal Traffic Report. Our first look at your Real Deal Traffic Report for the 4 o'clock hour. Standing by, he's going to give you the lowdown on your daily commute, Mr. Pauly Suba.
Oh yeah, the lane striping is affecting all the motorists on Route 1 heading into Gigo or coming back from Gigo into the Dedido area, right? So there's some lane closures there, major congestion right around. Now it's going further back by the Dedido flea market. And so I don't know if they're going to stop that before 5 o'clock. I hope so, because more and more people are starting to head in that direction as we get closer to the 5 o'clock hour. So expect major delays around the Dedido flea market as you head towards the Sengsong Mobile intersection and continue on your way into Jigo. And then if you're coming from Jigo, expect those delays as well. It might even be easier to, I don't know, go around into General Ben Blas Boulevard if you are not trying to go anywhere near the Sangsong area. You might even be able to go around and then cut over on the other side of the Estumbo to get over to Sangsong. So again, your Real Deal Traffic Report brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at GuamAutospot.com. And Mobile Oil Guam. Go farther on every journey with Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus fuel, keeping your engine 3 times cleaner for better gas mileage.
Guam, what if we told you your tax refund could get you a brand new ride, like a 26 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $23,995 or a 25 Eclipse Cross for $24,995? Sounds like an April Fool's joke, right? Wrong. This is not a joke. These deals are real at Guam Auto Spot. Turn your tax refund into a new ride during the Spring into More Savings event. New cars, big discounts, limited supply. When they're gone, they're gone. Get pre-approved now at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO.
Hafide Guawusi Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the Bright Side, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelu. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelu all April long. Only on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Balanced, fair, thoughtful. Wave 105 FM.
In the afternoon. Welcome back to the show. This is The Bright Side right here on Wave 105. My name is Ryan St. Nicholas. Got to pick up the host of the show, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
We want to thank our sponsors of The Bright Side, Chili's Grill and Bar. Chili's, more life, great food and memories happen here. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And GTA, we start with you. And we're starting the 4 o'clock hour with Senator Telo Taitagui.
Yes. He's online.
Hafide, Senator, thanks for the opportunity. First, I wanted to ask you how your relief efforts are going.
Oh, well, I think very well.
Okay.
At least trying to first, hi, Pauly.
Hafide.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, people of Guam.
Hi, Senator.
Sometimes you get so busy throughout the day, you forget the formalities of just, appreciating everyone out there for what they're doing. And definitely, that's a great segue into what's happening at Homeland Security to find out what was going on. But I greatly appreciate this call, and also to let you know what happened on Saturday last week.
Yes, please.
When I found out about OTEC, shutting down. And that was very disturbing to know. I mean, I've been always advocating for Office of Technology, which is located in Hagåtña, which is also located in a flood zone area, which has asbestos on top of it, let alone, just the surroundings is really falling apart. It's such an old building for something so important as, the running of the government. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it's essential to all government services with OTEC, from rev and tax to the hospital to public safety, that holds all their data there. I mean, and then the worst part about it, if the worst case scenario, during a typhoon like this, the outage that we experience not only, disrupts government services, but it also means for public safety wise and these responders to get information. So to me, it's so important to, be a part of whatever we can do to make OTEC safer and better and reliable. Especially, we're dealing with technology constantly, right?
Yeah. And
then I heard it was the generator that went down. I mean, I think a cat went in there and got electrocuted, and it's such an old generator too. On top of that, so coming down, then seeing firsthand what happens in a situation like this, and what's going on at Homeland Security to get a generator to power up OTEC again and see that process. So I had an invitation by Esther Agagi, the Director of Homeland Security, to come on down. It was a Saturday, and I said, absolutely, to see how this process goes, especially the $25 million that we appropriated for not just the response, but also the pre-storm prep, getting ready. So, which I thought was brilliant. It's about time we start issuing out funding for to prepare us for the storm, so that damages won't be as extensive if we just react instead of be proactive and just be reactive. So that was really good. But my concern, of course, is, the spending of this money done correctly. We've seen in the past where all the way back to Typhoon Dolphin, way back then, some people wasn't even born, I think, when Dolphin hit. We're still waiting for refunds from that funding. I mean, from that storm.
Wow.
And then, of course, Marwa. Yeah, Dolphin, as far back as Dolphin. And then, of course, Marwa, we're still way behind in getting any refund from that. Some of the funding. Some of it's coming in, but not all of it. And when you're taking money out of the general fund that was appropriated for operations of the government, if you don't have that money to replenish it back in, these agencies are definitely going to be without. They're going to be short. So that was one of the reasons why the rainy day fund was important to me, because we have so many issues coming up, with the thing on Medicaid. We still haven't paid the $20 million to the hospital for their repairs that we submitted to them. And here we are taking money away from the general fund that may not get reimbursed for years down the line. So the rainy day fund was the reason why I made that amendment to take this money from the rainy day fund, and of course funding that has already been recognized as $7 million of reimbursement from the federal government on the WICHE program. So now the question is, okay, well then how do we ensure that these federal funds are going to, from FEMA for reimbursement, are going to happen in a timely manner. So I definitely wanted to see how the process worked. Right. And I tell you, it was amazing, going in there and seeing everybody just work together harmoniously through not just Guam's issues, but CNMI as well. I mean, while I was down there in one of the situation rooms where at least 40 people were there, all from FEMA, and then from what I gather, about more than 50 from FEMA were already on a plane, on a C-130, along with Red Cross, heading out to Saipan. They finally cleared the runway. There was a tower that had broke for these aircraft to land safely. They were able to MacGyver, that situation to bring that plane in. But, the recovery efforts now moving forward, it's going well. People need to be a little bit more patient. I understand that the debris, I had a constituent call me actually while I was at Homeland Security, telling us that, I've got this debris, my mayor won't come pick it up. And, It's a matter of just giving her the right information. Mm-hmm. The reason why your mayor is not picking it up right now is because there's no place to put the debris. Mm-hmm. There has to be a staging point. And it wasn't until Sunday. Now, remember, I was there on Saturday. It wasn't until Sunday that they were opening up the staging point at Oka Point, as well as some of the other mayors having staging sites within their village. Some of them don't have it, and that's why they rely quite a bit on the one in Oka Point, and they're still working on the area for debris, like hard goods in Tijan. Remember, we went through that whole thing with Marwa.
Yeah.
So and then I had an opportunity to visit the mayors. Of course, made the amendment that all mayors receive $250,000 instead of $100,000. They are our frontliners. They are there to help, their constituents that are most in need, and then whatever funding they're not used in that will go back to the rainy day fund or whatever funding it came from, whether it's the $7 million that came from the general fund on reimbursement or the funds that came from the rainy day fund.
How soon can you see that report? Because I remember Lester Carlson said that he has no problem sharing the report.
Right. All those reports, well, it's 60 days.
Okay.
I made the amendment on the floor to make a 30-day after. So in the bill, it basically, the Magahagan shall provide a written report of all expenditures and funds under this act, including those expended by the mayors to Eleslo Tuanguahan and the public auditor within 60 days of once it's been disbursed. And then every 30 days is what I changed because I took out periodically, did not have a timeline. It's important to put a timeline. So we struck out periodically and put 30 days thereafter until all the funds are expended. But we also included transparency and accountability in there, too, where all expenditure reports shall include a detailed accounting by agency, the program, object category, and we incorporated the vendor that they utilized to hire on any of the work they need done. And it shall be tracked and identified as to their eligibility for federal reimbursement. Now, that was important, included but not limited to FEMA assistance. This is to be tracked.
Right.
So that the reimbursements, we can follow where the reimbursements are because we experienced that in Marwa, and we're still waiting for reimbursements, So I had an opportunity to speak to the federal FEMA, the head of FEMA that was there representing FEMA. Actually, I can't call him the head of FEMA because he's not the head of FEMA. But
is it Bob Fenton?
He was the top dog.
Okay, yeah.
And I was explaining to him that, first thanking him for being here, being away from his family to help, us here in Guam and the Northern Marianas, but kindly asked him, we're still waiting for reimbursement from FEMA during Marwa and even Dolphin, and what can we do to speed up this process, to ensure that all the documents, the SOP is followed to a T. Is there a template of sort that we can follow? And he didn't realize that, and he actually said, well, we have somebody here right now who does this kind of strategic planning process. And of course, Esther was standing right beside me, so we were like, which one is he? Well, we can control our timeline.
Yeah.
Guam can.
Yeah.
But we cannot control the timeline of FEMA. What we can do is provide the information and data or any documents and receipts in a certain way that would hopefully speed up the process or make it easier for them so that we can
that makes
reimburse.
Sense, right? Because they can't give us the runaround because we've provided them all the information.
Right. So hopefully Esther will be meeting with that individual person. So I was glad to ask about that. And what was amazing, too, in my staff and I called the situation room, was the maps that were put on display of Tinian and Saipan, and just seeing the devastation. They were marking it already in areas, impassable areas in dire need, which you look at those maps, it's like dots all over the place. So I can't tell you how my heart just aches for CNMI. And we actually, words just can't express what they're going through right now. Right. And every time you hear somebody come online and talk about it, they're in tears. Their heart is hurting.
Yeah.
So, but Guam is stepping up like she does all the time. You know, our people are stepping up to the plate and wanting to do everything to help. I know that governors sending in the National Guard to help out. GPA is doing their part, you know, sending them. I believe the governor mentioned a truck as well, bucket truck to help them. So we're doing our part here, definitely. And there's still a lot more we can do. So if you're asking, they got it covered. No, they don't. They don't have it covered. We could still provide more help. You've got 600 people still in shelters in certain areas of CNMI, and that's 600 people without a home. So there's much more we can do. So
at the same
time,
that
was it. I just did the walkthrough, met with a couple mayors there, making sure that their procurement. That's and good. Speaking of procurement, this was amazing. Andrea, the chief procurement officer, was there sitting in Esther Agagi's office throughout the whole time.
Nice.
There to stamp everything that comes her way, you know, on procurement, to get these purchased, to get it out, to make sure the T's and I's crossed, T's are crossed, I's are, you know, dotted, and that it follows procedure, so there's no protest in this, the authority that's given to her. So this is really good. That was good to know. And just think it's this Saturday, you know, she's working constantly for these acquisitions that are coming in. And then on the mayor's side, the money is directed for each mayor at $250 is directed at their procurement side of the mayor's council. And she does her part in ensuring, you know, T's are crossed, I's are dotted, that everything is done correctly. It's meant for the storm recovery. So that's two different areas. So that was very good to see that movement going forward. And again, to all those people at Homeland Security and the agencies that are assigned Homeland during a disaster, a typhoon, any storm, like as such, thank you so much for, you know, leaving your families to ensure that, you know, many of those who are without or who need assistance, you're there for them. I greatly appreciate that.
If I could just go right back to OTEC, I'm just a little concerned about their.
Yeah, me too.
So are they taken care of? Did they stabilize everything, or are they still vulnerable without, without giving too many details?
And that's why Rev and Tax could not operate too, because when that went down, Rev and Tax also, had issues because OTEC was down. But they brought in a generator. Like I said, the procurement officer was right then and there.
A new one?
Go ahead.
A new generator?
They got a new generator.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
okay,
right away.
Great.
So it's up and going, but you still have to address everything else in the room. If you have, Pauly, I would love to take you down to OTEC to see, that the situation. OTEC, the heart of technology, being there is so
I was told it's
important.
all upstairs. Nothing is downstairs because it's vulnerable to flooding and whatnot, right?
Oh, no, there's things downstairs,
There
too.
is still, there's still infrastructure
Oh,
downstairs?
yeah,
Okay.
I got to take you there.
Okay.
If you want something to talk about on there, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let me know when you're available,
yeah.
And I will take you down there, and we'll do a walkthrough and show you one of the most important agencies that keeps our government running.
Right.
Is needed a new facility. It's so anybody listening from OTEC, you better be ready because Pauly's coming for an inspection. Yeah.
Hi, Day. I know. So I appreciate the information. What we've been noticing too. I just wanted to bring this up because I know you have your training to go to. I don't want to keep you for too much longer, but. Mm-hmm. We're starting to track what the legislature has been doing so far, right? And went over to the Guam legislature's website, saw 124 public laws signed already. And so when you track some of that, what we found, again, this is all still like surface level. I still want to solidify some of these numbers. But you're like one of the main architects of the 38th Guam legislature when we look at how many bills have passed. And it's not even close, Senator.
Wow.
Have you looked at that? Have you looked at your history?
No.
It's not even close. And so when you talk about...
Actually, I don't look at it. And the only time I'll ever look at something is if I get somebody on, like in the radio asking me a question or how many bills have you done or how many bills have you passed, things like that. And I'll quickly run and just do a
Senator,
not even a...
52 total successful laws involving your name on it, whether you are the main sponsor or the co-sponsor. And so when you talk about dotting your I's and crossing your T's, I mean, it reflects in the work that you and your office does. And I'm not saying this, and I'm also saying this collectively as a 38th, because 124 laws so far in the 38th Guam legislature. And when we look at the work that the makeup, again, of some of the bills that you've passed, Telo Taitagui, most legislative effective member overall, dominated election reform, public safety, healthcare workforce reform, government accountability, AI regulation, voter laws, campaign finance reform, healthcare bills. You had one of the highest numbers of successful lead sponsor laws. And so a lot of what I just shared, I'm sure you remember all of those bills and going to session fighting for these to be passed.
Oh, wow. I hope my staff is listening because this is not just me at all. I mean, I've got an amazing staff, and I drive them a little hard, but I hope they realize this is for the island. This is for people of Guam that you're fighting for, and they do. They got a lot of spunk there at my office, and oh my gosh, I can't wait to share this with them. I hope they're listening. I don't know if they're probably too busy working on the next. Thank you for sharing that with me. I had no idea at all, and I appreciate you recognizing that, because it's really recognizing the hard work of my staff.
Well, we're just going by the numbers, right, without getting into some of the details. But Ryan and I do want to take a deeper dive on some of the bills that you were introducing, the entire legislature, to just put some of that out. I understand, and we've been talking about this since yesterday, is the bills introduced and passed or failed doesn't tell the whole story. We get that. But just looking at some of these numbers, you can kind of see the makeup of the 38th Guam legislature. And it's not just yourself, Senator. The names like Tony Atta, Shango Matautau, Joe San Augustine, Chris Duenas, Jesse Lujan, these are the core group that clearly drove legislative agenda.
Wow.
Just on the numbers.
Wow. Well, I hope, come to think of it, I hope my staff is not taking a break because they heard that. Oh my God, you might think, okay, we can rest now. No, we still have to the end of this term. So, but thank you so much for that. And by the way, just to FYI, the AI task force will meet May 13th.
Okay.
And this will be the first one where people are coming with their reports on each subcommittee. So it's going to be very interesting, a little bit longer than our last task force meeting, but there should be some good information. And I know that one particular subcommittee had a 30-year, gosh, I wish my staff was a 20-year plan on AI. That was amazing. Yeah. So that's going to be very interesting here to hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so
Ryan
it's on May 13th. And then, of course, we're having a military buildup hearing. And I believe that's on this. We have that, remember, about a year ago in April as well. This was the military buildup and what's happening. So, of course, want to put that in every year, and we are. So we're having that one on May, let me see in here, May 4th. At 2 p.m. will be the military buildup briefing. And we've got Sidlo that's going to be there, Vera Tapashna, her group. Carlotta Leon Guerrero will be there, as well as Homeland Security and TAG will provide information on what's happening. And I think it's going to be good information for the public so that they understand and rest at ease, even with what's going on with the Epic Fury, that supposedly has a standstill, but there's still guns being shot. They're supposed to be ceasefire, but they're still firing.
Yeah.
And some of the boats still being stagnant at the Strait of Hormuz. Not some going through, some not going through. So there's a lot of information that depends on how this military buildup is going to move forward. Talking about also our stockpile. Are they using our stockpile now? We know that a lot of money is being diverted to purchase or build more ammunition, and so it's going to be a good. I think the people of Guam need this information to put it at ease, at least to let them know where we're going on an island as being the tip of the spear, and what's happening with this military buildup. Is it happening? Are they planning on the 3,000 Marines? Has it dwindled down? We heard about rotations, and so please, if you have any questions too prior, let me know, Pauly. I'll be happy to ask during that hearing, the informational hearing. If I don't, I provide everyone questions too. So I don't want to hear anybody coming to a hearing and saying, I'll get back to you on that. No.
Senator,
you're going to get the answers, questions ahead of time.
Is this hearing taking place during the morning or
2 p.m. at the public hearing?
I'll give you my questions ahead of time then, because I'm not going to be able to make it. Yeah.
And I can be happy to send it to those who are going to be participating. We tried to get the military to show up. They did last time, or at least sent a representative.
Right.
But this time around, I'm hearing that they probably are not going to participate, which is very discouraging. But then again, they're in the middle of...
I thought we're one Guam.
So did I. It was like, believe me, that's not going to rest easy with my comments during that hearing of them not being there.
Right.
I'm not asking you for top secret information.
Right. Right.
Just what the plan is moving forward on this military buildup. I'm not asking for Epic Fury's, game plan.
Yeah. No, I get it. Senator, I'm going to let you run because I know that you got to get to your training.
Yeah, I got a procurement class that I got to study for.
Yes.
I've been taking this picture. I'm on module 4.
Nice.
It's my last module. So, it's quite interesting. I mean, if we're going to create laws as senators, we better know how procurement works and what are the requirements so that we can cross our T's and dot our I's when we're doing bills so we know what we're doing.
Right. Well, obviously, you and your team know what you're doing because, again, you're the main sponsor of most of these public laws. And it's interesting because Ryan was sharing, he's like, you know what? Senator Telotadegui doesn't necessarily I don't want to say what were you saying? Because you even said it at the last session that you and the governor and the administration don't always see eye to eye. But clearly, bills are still getting passed with your name on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on. Mm-hmm. Well, I wish we could have worked more collaboratively, the governor and I, back in 2019, starting, and moving forward. I think a lot of good things could have happened. But it's never too late.
Right.
We put a bill together, the two of us,
right.
The governor's bill as well as mine together. We bringing in foreign doctors, which is so desperately needed. And, it's not over yet. The term doesn't end until the end of December. So I'm hoping to work with the governor on other initiatives to provide the service and the help that our people need, as well as not just the handout, but the hand up that most people on this island just need, that little, help. So I'm hoping we can put more legislation through that would I don't want to say make it easier for us. Nothing should be easier. If anything's good, nothing should be easy. I'm just, do something good for our island. That we got to look at, actually, to tell you the truth, we've got to look at our aging population and many of them not wanting to go off island, wanting to stay here. But families have moved, their children have moved and trying to convince them to move off island. We need a facility here. And I introduced a bill about 2 terms ago providing some incentives for a company to come here and build a senior living facility. St. Dominic's is ready to, close its doors because it's so old, and it could only hold maybe 30, if we're lucky, individuals to be at St. Dominic's. But there is no senior living facility on this island, and I think a great place to have one would be somewhere up, in the hills of Menengan, and just have this one senior living facility where all the gangs, because everybody's related, hang out, or just find a place where we can live the rest of our twilight years in dignity. And have the assistance when we need it.
Or maybe look at some hotels that are no longer being open right now.
Used. Yeah, that's a great idea, but it's getting a company to come out here. And I did that. I went out to Hawaii to visit some of the senior living facilities in Hawaii across the Pauly Highway. There was one there, and right at the mouth of Waikiki was a really nice one. Very expensive, but I think we can find a way to help where the government can subsidize, like they do in Korea. Actually, Korea has government, senior living facilities that they house their people as they get older age. And some people don't have children. Where do they go? Right. So this is something we really need to start looking at as our population goes into that massive baby boomer. I mean, I've always said in 2030, there will be more senior citizens than there are children.
Yeah, I'm 53.
By 2030.
I'm 53. 2 more years, I'm a senior citizen.
Yeah. You don't even look close to that.
No, but this is a great idea, actually. I hope you revisit this idea, too, as well.
Yeah, it's the bill is out there for the taking. It's been introduced and it passed, and it's there. It's just it needs more encouragement on how we're going to put this facility together.
Oh, nice.
And provide it for those who don't want to leave off island because there's no one here to care for them. Yeah. We can do this at home. This is where they was born, raised, and want to end their life here is on Guam. They want to be buried here. So. Yeah, that's one big project that I hope maybe the governor, if she's listening, hey, Governor, let's work on that project, finding a facility on Guam for our elderly. Okay? I'm sorry I kept you too long. No. Got to go to school. Got to go to class. I'll see you later. Thank you, everybody. Senator. Be safe out there, and keep Sinamai in your prayers, please. Yes. And there are many places that are open to provide any kind of donations or even your time to help, stock these goods in these containers that are being shipped off. So, greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll continue to create a great day.
Create a great day.
Thanks,
right
Senator.
On.
Okay. Adios.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Senator Telotidegui right there. And so, we were looking at some numbers on how many bills passed so far with their names on it. And again, Senator Telotidegui is not even close. She has the most. But again, when she was talking about her visit to Homeland Security, right? So she said Guam received emergency funding before the typhoon, but now the government must make sure the money is being used properly and getting to the people who need it most. That's the $25 million, right? That was appropriated for recovery efforts, for preparation for Typhoon Sinlaku, right? She talked about meeting with the village mayors and getting the resources quickly enough to help residents after the storm. And then another big concern, and so she said that I will reach out to Senator Tello and see how our schedules align, and hopefully we can go look. I can look for myself what OTEC looks like, right? Because there was one time when I did go up, but there was no access to the first floor. That's why I didn't think that there was anything on the first floor. You had to go upstairs to the second floor.
They definitely need a new facility on that.
Yeah.
I mean, man, with everything, all roads and every agency leads to OTAC.
So, that is our data center.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll take the break.
Yeah.
4:36 in the afternoon. This is Wave 105.
You want to go ahead and just do traffic?
Sure can.
All right. 4:35 in the afternoon. And right about now, it's time to do our Real Deal Traffic Report. Proudly being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot and Mobile Oil Guam. Standing by, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, let's take a look. Yeah, still some congestion. Actually, hopefully they did clear up, or at least they paused for the day on the striping on Route 1 after the Isengsong Route 1 intersection, because it doesn't look nearly as bad as it was 30 minutes ago. There still is major congestion, though, between Harmon Loop Road on Route 1 to Isengsong Road. And so that's probably some of that leftover traffic as they are starting to clear up. But again, once you pass the Isengsong intersection, things will start to clear up for you, and you are home free to Jigo. Otherwise, mild congestion in the Upper Tumon area, ITC intersection, see some delays there. Route 8 is starting to see some mild congestion when you get towards the Tri intersection. And of course, again, don't think that Tizin Parkway, the Magahaga Highway, is a detour. I mean, is a shortcut, because things will slow down pretty abruptly as you get closer to, what is that, the forwarding company, Triple B?
Yeah.
Triple B Forwarders. That whole area. There's also the Veterans Affairs Office there.
Yeah, Social Security.
Things slow down pretty fast when you get there, and then you're not going anywhere for a good while, waiting for lights to change and whatnot. So your Real Deal Traffic Report, once again, here on Wave 105, brought to you by Mobile Oil Guam. Go farther on every journey with Mobile's Synergy Supreme Plus Fuel, keeping your engine 3 times cleaner. For better gas mileage, visit guam.mobile.com for details. And Guam Auto Spot, schedule that test drive today at Guam Auto Spot by calling 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com. Here's that number again, 478-AUTO.
All right, we're going to take a short little break. Caller on line 2, stand by. You're on right after the break.
America, past and present.
It's Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. On this day in 1908, legislation signed by President Theodore Roosevelt created the Medical Reserve Corps, laying the foundation for today's United States Army Reserve. What began with just 160 medical officers has grown into a force of hundreds of thousands of reservists who serve alongside active duty troops. Today is also the birthday of President James Buchanan, born in 1791. Elected in 1856, Buchanan led the nation during a period of rising sectional tension. Historians often rank him among the least effective presidents, citing his inability to prevent the secession crisis that soon led to the Civil War. And that is America past and present. I'm Randy Meyer.
Lowe's has the brand's pros trust to get the job done. You can now shop new Catalyst fencing solutions and save big when you do. 10% off when you buy in bulk. Plus, save $180 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding compound miter saw. Now just $449. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/6 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Guam, what if we told you your tax refund could get you a brand new ride, like a 26 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $23,995 or a 25 Eclipse Cross for $24,995? Sounds like an April Fool's joke, right? Wrong. This is not a joke. These deals are real at Guam Auto Spot. Turn your tax refund into a new ride during the Spring into More Savings event. New cars, big discounts, limited supply. When they're gone, they're gone. Get pre-approved now at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO.
Hafide Gwausi Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the Bright Side, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelaide. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelaide all April long, only on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba.
Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. No, honey. Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing.
Welcome back to the show. 4:41 in the afternoon. Sending it back to the host of the Bright Side right here on Wave 105, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, welcome back. We're going to the phone line now?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Hafide, Wave 105, you're on the air.
Yeah, can you hear me, Pauly Suba?
I can hear you, sir.
Back to the future.
Back to the future. Got it.
Hey, man, tell her she's lovely, the Castles. She was jamming after your mom was jamming.
Yes, absolutely. I remember.
Yep, she's good, man, and those were the good old days. Anyway, how are you guys doing?
We're doing good. No complaints, sir. How about you?
That's good. I'm going to ask you a question. Who said those words, speak softly and carry a big stick?
FDR?
No.
No?
I think it was a president like, God, I want to say Taft.
Okay.
Was it Taft? Yeah.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, it was Theodore?
Oh, Theodore,
Okay.
yeah, that's right. Taft was before him. That's right. Yeah.
And who said, Gorbachev, take that wall down?
Reagan.
Hey, there you go. And it's good to know that we know things like that because sometimes we go back to the past just to learn for the future. And we're all in this together. And
yes, sir.
And your mom used to sing real good. She still probably does. And her, Attorney Mike Phillips, Fred Berdalio Chief, Ed Beneventi, remember those days, Pauly?
Just here and there, but not enough, to be honest.
Yeah, them guys were jamming. They were good, man. And I didn't know Fred Berdalio Chief knew how to play the organ.
Oh, yes. Yeah. My favorite album is the Tomorrow album.
He jammed Running on Empty.
The
the Doobie
band was
Brothers,
called Tomorrow.
Yeah, but hey, anyway, I just wanted to say hi, man. You guys doing a good job, and we just take one day at a time, and we'll fix this island, get back on track with Black, and there ain't nothing we can't do. We all stick together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that energy.
So you guys have a real nice day, and one day it might be Ryan and Pauly, or Pauly and Ryan. It doesn't really matter. We just got to put some good people in there and put some leaders in there, not followers. And you guys have a nice day.
You too.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
you
so
too.
much.
All right.
Yeah, so it's going to be Pauly and Ryan and Kaduku for treasurer.
There you go. The party.
The party.
Yeah. Where the party don't stop. The party never ends.
Yeah, the party don't start till we walk in.
Yeah. We are the party. Shout outs to Maureen Maritita, the publisher of Glimpses of Guam. And so she was sharing me some audio clips of the UOG Center for Island Sustainability panel, right? And so there was talk about food sovereignty. I mean, this is no secret, right? Again, that we import 95% of our goods.
Yeah. And sustainability, I mean, as far as the food that you're talking about, the goods that you're talking about, as far as food is concerned, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Man. You know, that's
Jeff
how
Pleadwell was saying the same thing.
Yeah. And so, if let's say our lifeline, I mean, when you look at the Strait of Hormuz, right, how they're blocking and everything, I mean, man, and that's just oil.
Yeah.
We're talking about food, goods, and everything coming to our shores.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like what if that lifeline doesn't come in, on time?
Yeah. There was a individual today, Josh, who represents Guahan Sustainable Culture. And he was, just reminding of us all that, our ancestors sustained themselves. We were food sovereign. We sustained ourselves fully off the land and the sea that surrounds us.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Jeff Pleadwell said it, it's like, what, we're surrounded by water. I remember fishing with my dad. We would go spearfishing on the east side, mostly inside the reef, and catch parrotfish and whatnot. And so it's not as common anymore. And so there are a number of things that are affecting this, right? I truly believe that even just the climate change is affecting the amount of fish that is available to us.
Yeah.
Right? You're just not seeing it. Ask the fishers out there. Ask them. They're not seeing the same kind of numbers, right? And so, but
I mean, we're already getting a crappy deal when you think about it, right? Because our EEZ, our exclusive economic zone, it's about 200 miles, around Guam, nautical miles around Guam. And so when you think about it, right, you have all these countries fishing within our waters, right? And Guam is not making a dime off of it. And so what they do is they catch all this fish like tuna, right? They go back to their country, they can it, and then it comes into form within those, the ships and the goods and everything. Comes in the form of Starkist tuna, but we had it in our backyard.
Yeah.
And we're paying for it. So, no, you're right. Everything you're saying is right. I mean, just growing up down at my family ranch down in Fua,
right,
we were planting taro, bananas, everything. And, my dad had us raise up
as
pigs.
a kid, we were going to the ranch.
Yeah.
Our ranch doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I mean, if you were to ask me, can you raise pigs? I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to come back to you on that because I saw how hard it was for my older brothers and everything. But it's just seeing it and knowing how it is, I think I can. But nowadays we're just too spoiled with modern technology and ask a kid to go out and play in the yard. We used to stay out till nighttime, and you won't get that nowadays with these kids, that are on their cell phones, their iPads and whatnot and everything. And, of course, there's a generation, and every generation you improve, right? Because as parents, Pauly, you know this, we try to give our kids things that we didn't have when we were young. And that is the role of the parent, right? Just like our parents, before us, right? I mean, your dad's given you and your siblings everything that he didn't have. Likewise with my dad. But along those lines, he also taught you how to fish. My dad taught me how to raise pigs.
Oh, he was a very serious. It says, listen, if everything goes SOL, you're gonna know how to survive. That is my duty as a father. And so I probably have failed in passing that on to my kids. I mean, I know exactly who dropped the rope.
Can you imagine?
It was me. I dropped the line. I'm so sorry because he passed on everything he knew from his family and my great grandfather, and then
you dropped the ball.
Yeah, I dropped the ball, dropped the rope. Right, I didn't find a desire to go spearfishing. More or bring my kids either, right?
Yeah,
so I have some regrets for sure.
My attitude is like, why are we gonna go fishing? I could go to the fisherman's co-op, and they already make poke down there.
This is true.
But again, when you just got to think about how the next generation would be. Sustainability, man, it's probably going to be hard to teach these kids nowadays how to raise chickens.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not to say that we're not doing anything now, because we're planting now, but can we do more? Absolutely, we can do more. But then the conversation pivoted towards deep sea mining, and that's kind of where I want to go to. But we have somebody on the line.
No,
okay.
no. Yeah.
So, Dr. Emily Hemingway of the National, I think Protection Coalition, from Washington D.C. It's a based out of D.C. And she was talking about deep sea mining after the recent executive order from the Trump administration, right, is pushing it forward. And so she said the coalition works with dozens of nonprofit organizations across the United States and territories to protect ocean ecosystems and provide scientific and technical support to communities opposing deep sea mining. She said the U.S. Department of Interior recently announced plans for lease sales involving the ocean areas near American Samoa, right? And this is information that we're aware of as well. She explains that once leases are sold, companies could gain control over the sections of the ocean floor for extended periods of time. She said commercial scale deep sea mining is still believed to be years away. Most experts say that the deep sea mining cannot really happen on a commercial scale for maybe another 15 years, more than likely another 15 years. And that's kind of what, man, I forgot her name. She represents the office of the governor. She is one of the advisors for the governor on climate change.
Chelsea?
And whatnot.
Not Chelsea.
No, I'm not going to get the name. I forgot. But she was here talking to us about deep sea mining as well. And she said the same thing. The good news is it's more than likely not going to happen for a number of years. However, we just need to continue to band together, not just the local government, but even Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio was saying too on a different panel that we need to band together with our federal partners, and it is their obligation to do so. Yeah. Talking about how many civilians also work on base, right? And those civilians too, it is their obligation working in this federal capacity to make sure that the federal government is doing everything they say they are doing, because, they regulate themselves too. They have their own federal laws that they must abide by. And some of these federal laws are way more strict than ours, especially when it comes to U.S. EPA, right?
Yeah.
But also the federal government too, and the federal courts also are saying that, Guam is Guam. So when you're talking about destroying the environment, it doesn't matter if it's Anderson Air Force Base. It doesn't matter if it's Naval Mag. Now, Department of Defense might disagree, and that's why they're going to continue to fight in court. But it just, say it out loud. Anderson Air Force Base is still Guam. It's Guam. And so you must abide by the local law, especially with environmental protections. And so the worry, though, still is that as a U.S. territory, Congress has every right to decide how things will run here. Again, we are the property of the United States. And so when you talk about deep sea mining and the senators in the United States are seeing dollar bill, y'all, for the federal government, senators and congressmen, for how to fund the United States, right? And they see dollar bills in every nodule that is down there in the Pacific. And if it's our property, the U.S. government, then those nodules are ours, they say. Thousands of miles away, they are saying this. They are thinking this. They're high-fiving each other on this.
Oh, yeah.
And they are wanting this.
Bar, you got your nodule?
They are wanting this. There are senators that are seeing it as such.
Yeah.
And then they're also saying, if it's not us, it's going to be China, so it must be us.
And that's why we really need to think about our representation in Congress. That is the most important. That is the first step, because that is.
But there's no representation.
Well,
I mean, there's representation, but non-voting.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that's. I mean, I believe that.
Oh, when you got how many senators? We have 0 senator.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's really tough.
No, I get it.
It's really tough. And then how many congressional members do they have per state?
Yeah.
And we have 1 non-voting. So when you are in the room, you're not the decision maker.
Yeah.
It really depends on the relationships that you make
that's,
with them.
Yeah, and that is why I
And it's
firmly believe that our representative is a one-man lobbying group.
It's going to be tough, and my heart goes out to Congressman Jim Moylan and the rest of his team, because what is happening is those senators, again, there is no U.S. senator in Guam. Everybody like, oh, we got 15, and California only got 1 or 2.
Yeah.
We need. That's not how it works.
Nope.
Open up a book, and you'll see that our senators are not the same as their senators.
Yeah. I'm glad that he's actually, putting kind of like a coalition with the other non-voting members.
Yeah.
And that's a start, right? And it's always going to come down to, okay, so if we can't change the fact that they're going to go deep sea mine, then at least try to get something that will be beneficial to our island.
Well, we got to just slow it down.
Yeah.
We have to slow this process down, because there are so many of these senators that are already thinking how this is going to benefit their jurisdiction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This deep sea mining.
Yeah.
They want to see that. And so again, when they're having conversations of where will these facilities be? So when you talk about deep sea mining and how it will benefit the United States and create a workforce, it's not going to create the workforce here in Guam.
Of course.
It's
and
not.
And that could be part of the prerequisite. You guys want this? All right. We want to employ 5,000 people. All right. You guys are talking about billions of dollars. How is Guam going to, benefit? And,
it's trillions.
And so, and when it comes down to it, this is why, the nail has to be hit on the head in Congress with our representative, either Congressman James or whoever, wants his job with Alicia Garrido, Lim Tiaco, or Mary Torres. So again, that's why it's very important. You got to look at, and that's one of the questions that should be asked of all these people seeking a seat in Congress. What are you going to do with this proposed deep sea mining deal? I would love to hear their answer.
Right.
Well, we can't do anything. Well, I can't vote. I mean, I don't want to hear that. I want to know what we can get.
Yeah. When you watch some of these committee meetings, especially on natural Resources Committee, right? These congressmen, you just listen to the questions that they ask experts. The wheels are turning.
Yeah.
They're thinking about workforce development within their own jurisdiction.
Yeah.
They're thinking about money that can come back towards their constituents. And so and where are you going to deep sea mine? Nowhere near where they live.
Of course. You ever watched the movie G.I. Jane?
Yeah.
Okay, remember that congresswoman that was fighting for G.I. Jane, and the first thing she's like, I'm going to look out for you, and I'm going to do that.
Okay.
But then when the other representatives were saying, hey, look, if you keep mouthing off, we're going to pull out, the bases that are in your jurisdiction if you keep mouthing off.
Yeah.
So what does she do? She ended up turning around on G.I. Jane. It's like, hey, you're on your own.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I screwed you. And
that's what happened with Rika.
And exactly.
That's what happened with Rika. We were pretty dang close. And other senators said it's my jurisdiction or your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Yeah.
And Guam got left out again.
Exactly. And so we just gotta do better in Congress, and hopefully, like I said, Congressman James has a plan on how he's going to address it.
Yeah.
But again, this question should be asked for all that is seeking a seat in Congress. You know, this question has to be asked and it has to be answered. And whether or not you like the answer, at least we know where they stand. Yeah.
All right, we'll take the break.
Yes.
All right, KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Michael Toscano. John Phelan is suddenly out as Navy Secretary, temporarily replaced by Undersecretary of the Navy Hung Kao, a Navy veteran. CBS News military analyst Jeff McCausland.
The United States Navy right now is involved in perhaps the longest, most sustained combat operations that the Navy's been involved with since World War II. And that is about a 6-week air campaign and naval campaign against Iran.
Iran renewed its attacks on commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz Wednesday while calling the U.S. military blockade of Iranian ports a breach of the ongoing ceasefire. BBC's Lise Doucette reports from Tehran that the Strait of Hormuz remains a central issue for Iran.
There is no doubt that Iran is suffering economically, but Iran's leaders will not capitulate. When it comes to big strategic issues, and the fate of that strait is one of them.
The U.S. will host a second round of talks between Lebanon and Israel Thursday. More from CBS's Olivia Gazis.
The calm that has followed the U.S. brokered 10-day ceasefire is already under pressure. New violence in southern Lebanon, including Israeli strikes and Hezbollah drone attacks, has raised doubts about the durability of the truce.
The Senate remains in session at 2 a.m. Eastern Time as they use the budget reconciliation process to try to pass funding for immigration operations under the Department of Homeland Security without help from Democrats. DHS has been partially shut down for over 2 months, and correspondent Nicole Skanga says she's been talking to employees.
DHS employees feel forgotten, not just by lawmakers in Congress, but by a political system that, in their view, really doesn't understand how DHS functions to protect the lives of Americans every day.
A judge has blocked Virginia from certifying the new congressional maps favoring Democrats that voters approved on Tuesday in a special election. CBS News analyst Thane Rosenbaum.
Remember, this redistricting plan did not arise from the state legislature, which is indirectly a vote of the people because Virginians elect their state representatives. This outcome arose from the direct action of a referendum on redistricting voted on by the people.
A wildfire in southern Georgia is rapidly spreading, moving so quickly some residents say they've had no warnings. CBS News correspondent Skylar Henry.
What we are seeing in Waynesville is devastation, stretch after stretch, leveled because of this wildfire. We believe this was a mobile home area here that has been leveled, now covered in ash because of the fire. Embers are still smoking.
This is CBS News.
The stars shine brighter on CBS Morning.
This is a slam dunk.
So cute. Y'all came in singing for me today.
On CBS Mornings.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Breaking news for your home. Wayday. Wayfair's big sale is almost here, and you can score the best deals in home. Like up to 80% off everything home. Yes, you heard that right. 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Wayday long. We're talking outdoor furniture and essentials, rugs, and more. All at Wayfair. And all up to 80% off during Wayday. Shop Wayfair's Wayday from April 25th through 27th. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Tesla's first quarter profit has topped the expectations of Wall Street.
Electric vehicle maker Tesla says profits rose in the first quarter as its car sales rebounded from a sharp slump in 2025. It earned $477 million in the quarter, up 17% from a year ago. Revenues jumped 16% to $22.4 billion. The company says it is experiencing continued growth in Asia and South America, while also seeing a rebound of demand in both Europe, Middle East Africa, and North America. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
A paddle-wielding robot called Ace from Japan is so good at playing table tennis that it's posing a tough challenge for elite human players. It beats them sometimes, according to a new study in the journal Nature. The research shows how advances in artificial intelligence are making robots more agile. Ace has 9 camera eyes positioned around the court and is able to keep all eyes on the ball. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
KGUM-FM, Dedido, the talk of Guam. This is Wave 105.1 FM, a Glimpses media radio station.
Dealers go to spring training. This is Jeff Gilbert with the Car Chronicles. Spring training may be over for baseball, but it's just getting underway at Stellantis, where personnel for Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealerships are getting a deep dive in the products they sell.
This is a 20-city training tour that goes to all major markets for us in the United States. That's going to allow us to train salespeople and other retail personnel about our products and how they compare to the competition.
Stellantis Director of Retail Training, Keith Yancey, says this isn't going to just be classroom training.
This is very much an interactive experience for them. So we have 3 different drive courses plus a demonstration arena that allows them to experience our products and really see just what they can do and how strong they are.
When all is said and done, 14,000 dealership employees will learn a lot more about Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram products. With the Car Chronicles, I'm Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
Guam, what if we told you your tax refund could get you a brand new ride, like a 26 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $23,995 or a 25 Eclipse Cross for $24,995? Sounds like an April Fool's joke, right? Wrong. This is not a joke. These deals are real at Guam Auto Spot. Turn your tax refund into a new ride during the Spring into More Savings event. New cars, big discounts, limited supply. When they're gone, they're gone. Get pre-approved now at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO.
Whether it's GPS systems, MRI technology, or the lasers used in smartphones and fiber optic internet, technologies that leverage quantum effects power modern life. The future of quantum information science and engineering promises to be even more impactful. Computers with unprecedented power, inherently secure communications, new industrial materials, and sophisticated sensors and imaging tools. Innovators are chipping away at long-standing challenges to the promising future of quantum computing, a class of computers that take advantage of the unusual physics that occur at the scale of atoms. To bring practical quantum computers closer to reality, one group is advancing the field by creating a new system that can detect and remove errors.
And what quantum error correction does, it uses redundancy, much like many classical systems. For example, to make something robust, you make your process redundant. You can actually make some measurements where you can check if errors have occurred without destroying this underlying quantum state.
Mikhail Lukin is a U.S. National Science Foundation-supported researcher whose team was acknowledged with the Physics World 2024 Breakthrough of the Year for their work with quantum error correction. Advances in error correction are essential to realizing the promise of quantum computing, a future where powerful quantum computers could help us discover new medicines, new materials, and new possibilities not yet dreamed of. Learn more in NSF's Discovery.
5:09 in the afternoon. Once again, it's about that time we check in with our Real Deal Traffic Report, proudly being brought to you by Mobile Oil Guam and Guam Auto Spot. Standing by with the very latest on your daily commute for the 5 o'clock hour, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right, getting reports that we are offline on our radio. So we're just going to continue to go on our radio app, our Glimpses radio app, and our YouTube is still live, the Wave 105 YouTube channel. So I don't think anybody can hear us on the radio. If you can, give us a call, 671-922-1051. If you're listening to us on the radio, getting reports that they can't get us, our sister station, Power 98 and Route 99 on radio right now. And so I got 2 people to confirm that. So let us know if you can hear us so we can try to troubleshoot. Looking at the roadways, I see there are still some delays in the Upper Tumon area on Route 1. Things definitely have cleared up in the Dedido area as you get closer to the Isengsong intersection. Now, of course, you are still going to see some delays, but it wasn't nearly as bad as in the 3 o'clock hour and the 4 o'clock hour when they were restriping Route 1 Marine Corps Drive, yeah? Otherwise, the intersection where 4 and 1 meet, you'll see some delays getting onto 4 and getting out of 4 onto 1, but continuing up to Sinohanya and then, of course, Ora Talampago, and then making your way back onto 10 isn't too bad at all. Your Real Deal traffic report here on Wave 105, brought to you by Mobile Oil Guam. Go farther on every journey with Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus Fuel, keeping your engine 3 times cleaner for better gas mileage. Visit guam.mobile.com for details and Guam Auto Spot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478 Auto. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
Afane Guausi Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the Bright Side, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelu. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelu all April long, only on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging about with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die.
5:13 in the afternoon. This is Wave 105. We are KGUM, the Bright Side, with Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, welcome back. I want to thank our sponsors of the Bright Side. That's Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And GTA, we start with you. 671-922-1051. or 1052. We are online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. I know getting reports that we lost our signal on the radio.
Yeah, I just received a call asking if we are off the air.
Yeah.
I told him, hey, yeah, we are, but you can...
We're going to continue to wreck and roll all the way till 6 p.m., see... if we can get a better signal on our radio lines. I already reached out to our engineering team, so appreciate that. But I know that people can still listen to us on our Glimpses radio app and also on our YouTube channel. I'm getting reports, too, that we are loud and clear and people can see us on Wave 105's YouTube channel. So there is a couple events that are taking place with public health. It's called the Sanlaku Recovery Public Health in Action. And so a number of these are free. So they're doing the immunizations tomorrow at the Micronesia Mall Center Court and also the former GameStop. I never like going in there because I get withdrawals. So I'm like, GameStop used to be in here. So it is one. This is pretty important, though, right? If you're looking to get your child immunized, they're doing this for free, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is for individuals with Medicaid, medically indigent program, or no insurance. And so the immunizations that they will be providing are chickenpox. Let me see here. Oh, I'm sorry. The note is there will not be a chickenpox vaccine. And also, they will not be doing the TB testing. Tuberculosis skin testing will not be provided. And so, but what you are asked to do is bring a valid photo ID and insurance information. And for your child, bring your child's current shot record. The child must be 18 years of age. Must be accompanied by a parent. Must be below 18 years of age. Sorry. Must be accompanied by a parent. If other than parent, then the adult must have legal documents or written authorization from the parent. Also bring your child's birth certificate and your parent or guardian or authorized adult photo ID. Again, this is for the child immunization outreach at the Micronesia Mall, Center Court, and former GameStop. That's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then they're also doing the food distribution also at the Micronesia Mall, but they will be next to wind chills from 10 to 2. Individuals may be asked to provide identification and must complete a brief form to confirm household eligibility at the time of distribution. Households experiencing need are encouraged to attend. Supplies are limited and will be distributed while available. They will also be doing the food distribution at the Inalahan Community Center on Saturday, April 25th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. If it's anything like this this morning over at Adelup at the Breezeway, I saw the deputy director, former Senator Amanda Shelton, in a social media reel, and she was saying that that nobody will be turned away.
Okay.
So they weren't turning anybody away today in their food distribution at Adelup. Obviously, they would turn you away if there's no more food to distribute, right?
Yeah.
So as long as there was food to be distributed, you just go there.
Be there. Yeah.
No, I don't think that they're there now. It's 5:18.
Yeah, but do you know how many? I mean, was it prepared food or just bags of food?
It's the canned goods. It's the beans.
Yeah,
it's what they usually distribute. Water in a box.
Yeah.
It's what they usually distribute during these emergency distribution sites. I remember the kind of goods that they were providing after Mauar, and it looks the same based on what I saw in the pictures.
Yeah. Okay.
Campbell's soup and whatnot, right? And peach. Oh, my favorite though was the peaches. Oh yeah. Right in the can.
Yeah.
I used to drink the juice that was in it.
Yeah, I used to do that, and then now I have diabetes.
Exactly.
I like it cold.
Yeah. Yeah, the cold peaches.
Man.
Then they're also doing the medical care and health education. This is going to be at the Micronesia Mall, again, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is Unit 105 next to Winchell's. They will also be at the Northern Region Community Health Center in Dededo, and the Southern Region Community Health Center in Inalahan. For the Northern Health Region Community Health Center, extend Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., extended hours from 5 to 9 p.m., and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Southern Region Community Health Center in Inalahan, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5, and then they have extended hours on Saturday as well, and so they will be open on Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The medical care is for residents that are strongly encouraged to visit the community health centers for medical care before going to a hospital unless it is an emergency. Community health centers are open and available to care for patients with non-life-threatening conditions to help reduce congestion at the hospital during recovery efforts. Our community health centers provide doctor visits, children's care, women's health care services, vaccinations, mental health support, laboratory services, and pharmacy services. All insurance plans are accepted, including Medicaid, and patients without insurance will not be turned away. And they will be providing health education on diabetes prevention. See, when we all drink the juice from the peach, the canned peach.
Now there has to be preventative.
Then they're going to give you some diabetes prevention and control education. Also, tobacco and nicotine cessation education, high blood pressure prevention and control education, eligibility assessment for breast and cervical cancer screening program, and STI. That's what they call them now, not STDs. They're infections, not diseases.
Okay.
Because when I was going through middle school and high school, it was STD.
Okay.
But
I'm not going to try to pose as the expert on that.
STI, sexually transmitted infections.
Yeah.
And HIV education.
Yeah. You know how the process works, right? Is so like if you come to the clinic and Pauly, I'm going to use this as an example, you do, catch something. Believe it or not, I have to actually, as the person intaking you, right, I have to actually write you on the list and I pass it on to public health. And then, of course, I'll ask you, hey, look, or the doctor would ask you, who was the last person you were with, and, that type of stuff, so that we can notify that person to have her self-checked and all that. So they do, when somebody does catch something, then there is a database pretty much. And of course it's all private and whatnot, but they will let the person that, you were last intimate with, let her know or let him know and basically see if we can screen them pretty much. Yeah. Because it controls the spread pretty much. And that's the standard. I know this because I used to work in the medical field. But yeah, STI. Wow.
Infection.
Yeah. It sounds like a shipping company or something. Sorry.
That's what's on their. I've been hearing more of that, right? But that's what's on their brochure or their flyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if there's a little bit more on what was discussed today, just based on some of the conversations that they were talking about. Again, deep sea mining and the concern. And so it's just, I want to be optimistic. Obviously, this Dr. Emily Hemingway of the National Ocean Protection Coalition says there's time, and the nonprofit organizations, a number of NGOs throughout the continental U.S. are going to continue to advocate against, with us, right? And so that's, again, why it matters that our federal government counterparts also align with us. Because
I want to know, and this is a valid question, right? I mean, for anybody within that same situation of deep sea mining, whatever, country, state, whatever, right? Was anybody ever successful in stopping, the movement for deep sea mining? I mean, that.
Well, there are. If you look at a couple of the countries that started doing it, it's not as successful as they hoped it could be. There's like even this old technology that's just on their ports, just rotting away. And technology changes too, right? And so, I understand when some of these experts are saying, "Oh, we don't do that anymore. We don't do the technology that was out there in the 70s where they bring down like a vacuum or whatnot, and it sucks up all the stuff on the seabed and brings them up, and then they push down the residue and creates these plumes in the water. They don't do that anymore. But what happens when the technology again becomes obsolete? Are all of your heavy equipment or all of your resources or your water drones just going to be left on our port or over in the CNMI and just, left for nothing? I mean, there are a number of reports out of New Zealand and Australia talking about how small island nations and their governments can't be trusted. Their communities don't trust the leadership because they're making backdoor deals with these industrial companies, and so again, like, this is a concern.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to benefit. And what a shame when Everybody in the continental U.S. and these jurisdictions where they have senators and voting Congress members benefit. And we don't, because I just don't see where we benefit. We don't benefit in workforce because they have already said, these experts, these CEOs of these companies, that it is not likely that they will create these facilities, build these facilities to bring the nodules over and then to Guam, and then basically mine them. Well, we mine them when we bring them up, but take the rare minerals from these nodules. That's not going to be happening here either. We don't have the expertise. We don't have the infrastructure, and they're not going to invest.
We definitely don't have the system to, even enforce. I mean, let's say we say no. I mean,
we can enforce that none of the equipment can come to our ports.
Exactly.
And that is what Senator Therese Talai has introduced.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, for me, it is
it's almost a slippery
concerning,
slope.
though, because I don't see too many of the legislature on Senator Therese's side.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the intent of her bill, but I'm not too sure if it will carry weight. I mean, if Pauly had a business, and let's say the outside shipping company says, "Hey, Pauly, we need a staging area and everything." I mean, is that going to stop you? I mean, from doing business with them? I mean, because it's illegal?
It can't come in here.
Yeah.
It can't come to our government port.
Yeah.
So how are you going to? You're going to have to go out to the ocean.
Yeah.
And provide them services out there. You won't be able to do it here if that bill becomes law.
I don't think it meets constitutional muster. I mean, really, because freedom of enterprise, and if somebody's paying their taxes, I mean, I don't know how much bite that bill has. And that's probably the reason why a lot of senators are not jumping on it.
So, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you can still, you can still service them. But how? How are you going to service them?
Yeah.
The government will make it difficult for you to service them because you won't be able to use their port to go and service them.
Yeah. No,
I
get it.
These mining ships won't be able to pull in. So you won't be able to fuel here.
Yeah.
So maybe you're a fuel tanker or something.
Or
you're going to have to take your boat out and refill them out there.
Yeah, or even just to restock,
goods and services. I mean, you could be a grocery store or a distributor, right? You're going to have to rent your own boat if maybe you have one, and go out to the boat and give them resources.
Yeah.
So, I think that is still a possibility, and people can make money off of that. But you're going to spend a lot of money.
I mean,
doing that, and it's probably not going to be a good business plan.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that's probably the reason why a lot of senators aren't jumping on this idea. But because they probably see like, no, you can't do that. But at the same time, I understand the intent. And it's a noble intent. It really is.
You can't ban somebody from mooring up and fueling in your government port? You can't?
I mean, if they're paying customers.
If you create a law
Yeah.
to not allow you to moor up into your port, you can't do that?
No, I'm pretty sure they can, but I mean, it may have. This will probably go into court if that's the case. I mean, because,
so what will the federal government do? Take receivership over the port because we won't allow an industry to moor up?
I mean, if the federal government is actually in favor of it, they might just. I mean,
or what they might do is let them moor up on the Navy side.
Yeah. And what happens then? I mean, if the Navy says, "Yeah, come on in."
Well, then the port. Yeah, there's no stopping the port. I mean, and the Navy side can, they do it all the time. You can moor up on that side. and you can service on that side. You can fuel the ships on that side. You can provide provisions on that side.
Yeah. And so, again, this is what I mean. I mean, it goes back to what I said about our congressional representative. If we cannot stop this, then let's see how we can benefit. And so if that means they're going to shore up and get provisions and fuel up and everything, that's money coming into the economy.
That's barely anything.
Of course it's barely.
That's
but
barely. Like
but
what is the trade-off
it's
here?
It's half a penny off the dollar,
Not
right?
even. Not even. What is the trade-off? You're going to lose your entire resource in the ocean?
No, I get it. But I mean, if we can't stop this wave, right? I mean, we just talked about it. A lot of countries.
Then we revolt.
Yeah.
Then we revolt.
A lot of countries try to stop it, but they
revolt,
right? And so
because there's going to be minimal benefit just based on what they're talking about now.
Yeah.
What they're talking about now, and if they're not sharing more benefits, why aren't they?
Yeah.
They're straight up. These CEOs are straight up saying,
You know what it
no,
is?
sorry, it's not really going to benefit. Out of the kindness of our heart, we ask the federal government to give a little bit of the percentage that we pay them to lease the land to give to the people of the CNMI.
Honestly,
that is what they're saying.
Yeah, to break it down,
they're not saying any more, and they really don't have to even negotiate with the CNMI and the government of Guam. They're saying we only talk to the federal government. We will lease the land from them.
Yeah.
And we say you should give about 1% to these governments. And nobody is saying Guam yet on the record.
No.
So that's why what is frustrating. Is like they're not even like a snake oil.
They don't even recognize our government.
Yeah, snake oil. Like, oh, you all are gonna be so successful. You guys are all gonna benefit tremendously.
I'm dealing with your daddy called Uncle. I'm dealing with Uncle Fed here, guys. I don't need to.
Yes.
I don't need to talk to you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, and whatever Uncle Fed wants, I can do it. But
you watch these federal committee meetings. The eyes of the senators and the Congress members are getting big.
Yeah,
and you can see the body language. You can see the how they are talking. They're very excited.
You can see the aura of gold around.
They are
them.
excited about this.
Here's my layman's term analogy. Okay, so you have a total stranger going into Pauly Suba's house, Ryan St. Nicholas' house, using their stove, their pan, and cooking your food without paying anything, without even, telling us who they are, what they're all about, and eating off our table on our plate using our utensils. And to them, it's like, and you guys can't say anything. So good luck. Because we got the go-ahead from Congress, which, again, goes back to our representative. Whoever we put in that chair to represent Guam has to fight big time. And that fight starts with him. And then in line comes the governor, in line comes the senators, and, we move with one voice. And I kind of like the idea of even getting with the representative from the CNMI too as well, and have their, our brothers and sisters from the CNMI,
American Samoa too.
Yeah, move with one.
They were all there. See, that was the frustrating part. The last time that they were having this in front of Congress, American Samoa spoke, King Hines spoke, and Moylan spoke.
And what did they get? Crickets. It was,
again, majority of those Congress members were very excited.
They were like, "Okay, hurry up, guys! All right, you guys only got 5 more minutes. I want to hear what that guy.
Yes.
I want to hear what that guy and the millions and the trillions he's going to bring in."
However, I appreciate it, and I have to go back and watch or just ask Congressman Jim Moylan.
Yeah,
there was one member in Congress that gave Jim Moylan more time to speak.
Good.
So when that happens, that tells me that they are on the side of Jim Moylan, or at least, there is a relationship there, because you don't just give up your time.
Yeah.
Because they'll cut you off. Like, speaker and vice speaker, and we'll call them out, like how, you're silencing our senators and whatnot, and the voices, you got to allow them to speak, right?
Yeah.
But rules are rules, right?
Yeah.
Congress and the Senate, they take that time seriously.
Oh, yeah.
They just like,
I got
your
15
time is
seconds.
Up. Your time's up.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no.
I claim my time. Yeah.
Everybody's watching their time like hawks.
Yeah.
Reclaiming time, but then the chairperson of that committee is also taking or not taking away, but not letting them have even a millisecond extra.
Yeah.
And so that also tells me they're not. When that happens, they're really not interested.
Time expired. Out of order.
They're not interested. And we saw a lot of that when Pete Hegseth was speaking, right? You could tell who's on his side and who was not on his side, depending on when they would get cut off or given extended time.
Yeah.
We'll take the break.
Yeah.
5:37 in the afternoon. We'll take the break. I know, again, we are off the air on the radio side. And that should be taken care of. It probably won't be taken care of until we get off. But, again, we are staying on doing the show because we know people are watching on YouTube and listening on our Glimpses radio app. This is Wave 105.
If you've ever gone on a wild goose chase or described someone as having a heart of gold, you're already a Shakespearean expert. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for April 23rd.
While many think of William Shakespeare's language as fancy or outdated, he is actually the primary architect of modern English slang. The bard is credited with recording or popularizing over 1,700 words and phrases, including everyday terms like manager, fashionable, and even lonely. Talk Like Shakespeare Day was launched in 2009 by the Chicago Shakespeare Theater to prove that his work isn't meant to be dusty, it's meant to be lived.
What do you read, my lord? What?
He gave us phrases like break the ice, in a pickle, and love is blind. Whether you are currently on a wild goose chase for your car keys, or just describing a fair weather friend, you are speaking the legacy of a man who died over 400 years ago.
There's the 1,700-word dictionary.
Yeah.
It's the staggering fact that we use Shakespearean inventions in almost every sentence.
I guess that's true.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
I wonder what kind of words we could come up with.
Probably nothing we can say on the air.
400 years from now.
We are also celebrating World Book Day and National Picnic Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
Every tick of the clock, a child loses hope of ever being able to break the cycle of poverty they live in. There is one way to help break that cycle. That is by providing an excellent education that gives them the lifetime tools they need to help improve their lives. Helping Hands Unlimited works with Christian schools in the Dominican Republic to help children in need. For $1 a day, you can sponsor a child in one of these schools. You can make a difference. Find out more at helpinghandsunlimited.org.
I'm U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. The sound of a seatbelt. It's one of the most important sounds in our car. It means everyone is ready and everyone is safe. The more our kids see us put on our seatbelts, the more natural it is for them to put theirs on too. Make it a priority. Buckle up every time. Hear the sound? Make it a habit.
Paid for by NHTSA.
Workers are using AI to quietly plot their escape, and bosses have no idea. I'm Cooper Lawrence, health and wellness expert, and this is all well and good. The University of Phoenix Career Institute surveyed 5,000 workers and 1,000 employers, and the results, kind of delicious. While companies think AI is making their teams more productive and loyal, employees are using it to build skills, boost confidence, and prep for their next job. Half of workers say AI makes them more confident about jumping to a new role. Here's the kicker. 50% are learning AI completely on their own without any employer support. Meanwhile, 48% of employers are already panicked about retaining AI-savvy talent. They see workers developing AI skills faster than their organizations can even keep up with. I'm Cooper Lawrence, and this is all well and good.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. he finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
5:41 in the afternoon. It's about that time we take our last look at traffic with our Real Deal Traffic Report standing by, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, let's check out my Glimpses Media traffic app here. And so, yeah, I'm still seeing practically the same issues that we were earlier on in the 5 o'clock hour. Route 16 delays as you get towards Harmon Loop, Fatima Road as well. Making that right turn from 16 over to 1, or even making a left turn on 16 over to 1. Upper Tumon heading in that direction is heading north in Upper Tumon on Marine Corps Drive is also experiencing delays. Motorists are stop-and-go traffic there. Route 1 near Hagatnya, Chief Kapua Park, some delays there, but not nearly as congested as Upper Tumon. ITC intersection, Route 8, mild congestion. When you get to the Tri, 10 is not as difficult to either go left or continue on north onto 16. But then as you get closer to, again, Route 16, getting closer to Machechi or using Allegeta Road or going down to Harmon Loop, just pick your poison, because eventually you're going to get stuck in some traffic. Real Deal Traffic Report brought to you by Mobile Oil Guam. Go farther on every journey with Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus Fuel, keeping your energy your engine 3 times cleaner for better gas mileage. Visit guam.mobile.com for details. And Guam Auto Spot, schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com. Afternoon. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105. Come and get your love. Give us a call, 671-922-1051 or 2. And send it back to the host, Mr. Pauly Suba. All right, welcome back. I've got a release from the governor. There's going to be a special ceremony at 1:30 p.m. They're calling this a once in every 250 year opportunity. And so they will have a press conference or a special ceremony, 1:30 at the small conference in Adelup, to commemorate Governor Lou Leon-Guerrero's contributions to the America 250 time capsule. The ceremony will include a presentation of items from Guam that will be sent to D.C. as part of this summer's 250th anniversary celebration of the nation. These items will be placed in a national time capsule scheduled to be open in the year 2276. So, weather permitting, portions of the presentation may take place outdoors near the Latte of Freedom. The event is not going to be live streamed, which is sad.
2076, you said?
Yeah. Sad, because I want to see, they didn't give us details, which probably they're saving it for tomorrow. They won't share what exactly the governor is going to provide. Maybe the Sanahi from the Chief Kapua that was stolen. You're not going to steal it this time. It's going in the capsule, and it'll be
for 50
secure
years.
250 years. For 250 years. Yeah. So I swear we had some capsules that we were burying years ago.
Mhm.
And when is it time to open those up? Like locally.
Well, I
local
know there's
capsules.
one. There's one that's right at the doorstep of the governor's house.
When do they plan to open it?
Oh, I don't know, but
was there a reason why they did it?
No, but that was like way before my
Yeah,
time.
I
But
wonder if it's like a Liberation Day capsule or something.
Yeah.
Because every
But
now and then,
you can actually
like,
see it. It's on the doorstep.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can actually see it.
oh, it probably has the date of when they're going to open it up too.
Probably. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what went in.
It better not be tomorrow chocolate chip cookies.
It'll be like Pugwa.
Pugwa maybe, but not tomorrow chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah,
Come
that is
on.
Pugwa.
Come on.
The scissors.
Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't even want the tomorrow chocolate chip cookies last time.
She's like, ill. No, it's okay. I'm watching my weight.
Let me see here before we get out of here. Something else that they spoke about at the CIS conference, talking about housing.
Okay.
So Fernando Esteves, who is the deputy director of GURA, right? He asked Esteves to explain where Guam is headed on housing, calling it a real community development front. Esteves says that one of the problems is that many people use the phrase affordable housing without really understanding what it means. He said people heard that buzzword, affordable housing, get thrown out by everybody, and most of them didn't even know what it means. They didn't know that it had a definition. And so he says GURA's recent housing summit and their housing conference were designed in part to get people aligned around the basic facts and shared terminology before trying to solve the problem. In order to start solving the problem, we need to understand the same base data points. While we may have disagreements on how, we right now need to understand the what. So he says Guam's housing crisis is not just about buildings or rent prices. It is also about community, family structure, culture, and whether local people can realistically build a future on the island. He said it's more than the land that it sits on. Housing is community. So he states that the island communities have long understood this connection even before outside research began documenting it in data. Home is the island as well. Home is the region. So he says housing affects nearly every major social outcome, including health, education, and substance abuse. Because of that, he said there is no single solution. And so he says instead, GURA is pursuing a multi-pronged approach that includes more attainable rental housing, more multi-family housing, and better use of developments that incorporate sustainable features such as community solar and community gardens. At the same time, he warns that subsidies alone will not solve this crisis. And so he says, and this really resonated with me when he said, we are not going to subsidize ourselves into prosperity. And so that just talking about Section 8 and, staying on Section 8 and continuing to, obviously these programs exist for those that are most vulnerable. But yeah, I mean, if you start to better your life, right, and or go get a job that starts to increase pay, eventually you will no longer qualify. So sometimes it's even like it's a mindset too that needs to shift in the individual. Because I've had conversations as well with some of my employees in the past. Don't give me a raise. Or if you want to give me a raise, let's just keep it between us. And I'm like, no.
Sorry, dude. No under the table crap.
Don't give me extra hours.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life, but it breaks my heart thinking like that, because that's not something, again, I'm not going to judge people, but that's not what I'm going to be telling my children or have told my children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so much opportunity available, but you can't. It's not just there to just, you know, let me have it. You got to earn it. You got to work towards it, especially if you want to thrive, especially if you want like prosperity. And so, I mean, it's very interesting. I was hoping to get more details out of it, but I think they were running out of time. But that's definitely something that I want to stay to monitor. I want to keep track of that and see what else, what other details are available, right? I mean, when you talk about a community garden and you talk about a solar farm solar panels for a community, I think you can do that already in these Section 8 areas, right? That can assist, but not just Section 8, but just in the village itself, near community centers. Right? Because again, when you think about thriving communities all over the nation, when they say, here are the most thriving or the happiest cities of America, the happiest towns in America. Well, guess what they have? They have all kinds of municipal
Do you know?
Parks.
Do you know if they're putting solar panels in like these low income housing
They
areas?
should.
They should.
They should.
I mean, because look, I mean, you know, remember when they retrofitted all these houses that were in the line within the path of the airport? It was funded by the federal government. They just, you know, so like if you were in the line, I mean, pretty much the path of the landing strip in Teason, if you are like there because of the noise pollution and everything, they actually funded you to get actual soundproof double pane windows and everything. And this was all from the federal government because of the noise pollution. So to do this with solar panels and put it, you know, in low income housing area, it'll definitely help, you know, with our power situation and how much it costs, right? I mean, it will definitely lower it down. Yeah, so no, I think somebody should actually look into it.
Absolutely. You know, I'm also excited when you talk about thriving villages or towns and municipal parks and whatnot. Senator Sean Gumatautal's bill passed of Hagåtña, right, to clear the area for like a futsal court.
That is
and
congratulations
beach volleyball.
to the people of Guam for that one.
No, I'm impressed. Yeah, that's great and all. But here's also, we have to stop building stuff if we don't maintain them properly.
True.
And so when we talk about, oh, this is wonderful, yeah, sure, it is wonderful. But we have a municipal park in Hagåtña. We do. It's called Paseo.
Yeah.
There's basketball courts there. There's baseball fields there. And where's the progress in that? Like, oh my goodness, one of the best experiences as a child for me, we didn't even know anybody playing baseball. And we would go watch those baseball games.
I used to just go like do 3
Those
laps.
were the most fun experiences that I had, going watching semi-pro baseball or amateur baseball. But there were a number of baseball players in that league that went to the minors.
I remember growing up.
Didn't Brant McCready or something like that, right?
Yeah, he used to play for not the major leagues, but the prior to getting into it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, please don't give up on Paseo.
Yeah.
Please do not give up on the baseball community, because that is a thriving.
Every village had the baseball team.
So you have right now a place to walk in Hagåtña. So when anybody says, "Oh, the Hagåtña needs," Hagåtña has.
Yeah.
Hagåtña has, and we cannot maintain it.
Well, case in point would be that jewel that we have down south called Southern High. It was.
Even Samora Village. I heard that they're going to refurbish it, but it needs a makeover. It needs one, and I think it is going to get. But again, we're building or we're going to create new ones, and we're forgetting about what is already here, what we already have. And please make sure that we have the funding to maintain it.
Yeah. I mean, because you could have the best ideas and put it on paper and become law, but if you're not maintaining, I mean, I can't help but use Southern High as an example. It was supposed to be the jewel of GDOE. It had the Olympic swimming
but they
pool.
built it in a swamp,
The
though.
auditorium was great. I mean, I remember how beautiful
Oh yeah,
it
the
looked.
concerts early on at that, but then
Yeah.
it ended quick because the HVAC system.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was part of the production team of the Miss Teen Guam, and it was hosted down there, and everybody was excited. Everybody sat, and then boom, power went out. Generators didn't kick in, and mind you, that was like in 98. I want to say 98, and that school opened up like a year prior to that, and so not even a year, but and then of course the pool, 2 years after it opened, and it had like frogs in it, snakes, dead animals and everything, and so it just went to crap, and we spent a lot of money on that, and the people that actually built it and everything, it was built on an anthill.
Yeah. We really got to go back because again, I'm not I don't play baseball. But I enjoyed it as a kid. One of my favorite memories again is playing baseball. I mean, watching baseball at Paseo. Right?
Actually, Haptic, he made it to the major leagues. Yeah.
And so,
From Petey. Wow.
And so, I mean, there were so many kids joining baseball. Guam was at the Babe Ruth World Series almost all the time. I remember watching like ESPN2 where they were talking about the Guam kids and they're like, in Guam, have you ever been to Guam? They love the chicken Caliguin. And I'm like, Caliguin? Well, it's still cool that they're talking about it, but and they were pronouncing the names all strange. I'm like, a lot of these last names are Spanish, right? How are you not saying Salas, Manny Busan?
We have Joe John Cruz from Barriga, Guam.
And every time they said Regis, they were saying Reyes. And so I didn't realize that even the Mexicans pronounce it as Reyes.
Yeah.
I was like, Reyes?
Well,
it's Regis.
well,
They're
Rosie-
like, nobody says Regis, not even the Mexicans. I'm like, okay, my bad.
Rosie Perez or Perez pronounce Perez instead of Perez.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Right, it was hilarious. But see, that's what I'm talking about. And we just, I don't know, I'm hearing that we haven't given up. But man, it has taken long. It has ridiculous. We're talking about Typhoon Mawar. Typhoon Mawar was what messed up Paseo. And here we are 3 years later, and it's still not ready yet.
That'd be so messed up if
still not
Mauer
ready
messed
yet.
it up, but Sinlaku can't even clean everything.
Yeah.
For some odd reason.
So we can't even play under the big lights. They
The-
can't even play under the big lights because
The bleachers ended up bending backwards, and it actually fixed it.
So that's all, again, congratulations. I'm so happy that that is going to happen. It's just down the street from where I live anyways.
Yeah.
So definitely going to take advantage. But, I mean, we got to maintain what we already have. Paseo is the center of the island.
Well,
there's a lot of things that we can continue to do there.
And hopefully with them, redoing and fixing Paseo and the stadium down there and fixing up Chamorro Village. When you think about it, right, there are so many other things that are happening within Agania, and so Agania is getting revitalized as we speak.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, we have, the big Costuless that is going up over there.
Yeah.
And then our good friend Jeff Sanchez has opened up a skating rink
That's
down
right.
in Agania Shopping Center. And then this thing with the field with Sean Gamatau.
Yeah, hopefully we can, in a few years, we can skate from that side all the way to Paseo and back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, good things are happening. I mean, it's moving at a snail's pace, but it's happening. Yeah, so.
Gonna get out of here?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I know we're not back on the radio, but we'll do it all again tomorrow. and we should be back on the radio in a couple hours, maybe minutes, I'm hearing. And so appreciate you. Mornings with Patty, rolling with dice from 6 to 10 tomorrow. National programming is going to get you another BrightSide with myself and Ryan. And again, who did we say? Senator Dwayne and Senator Joe next Friday, right?
Next
April
Thursday.
30.
Yeah, April
next
30.
Thursday,
Yeah.
yes.
And
that's
then, of
another
course,
segment.
I got the confirmation that on Friday, the day after, it's going to be Lieutenant Governor Josh and Senator Tina.
Got it.
On May 1st.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a lot to look forward to. You can already go to Wave 105's YouTube channel, and you should be able to find on the landing page. It shouldn't be hard to see. Maybe 3 streams of 3 videos down is Jeff Pleadwell and Charlie Hermosa, the Pirate Nation segment that we had on April 21st. All right, we'll get out of here. Everybody get home safe. Be kind to each other, especially out on those roads. Adios.
You're listening to KGUM-FM Dedido, Wave 105.1 FM, the talk of Guam, a proud Glimpses media radio station.
Are trips to the dentist hurting your wallet? You're not alone. I'm Katherine Houghton, and this is your KFF Health News Minute. Even for Americans with dental insurance, 1 in 4 say it's hard to pay for care. But dentist Sarah Olam says putting off a visit can also be expensive.